From Citi Field in New York, it's New York Mets baseball Tuesday night on SNY, presented by Citi, as the New York Mets play host to the Washington Nationals. It is a windy April night, as it is normally here in Flushing, but the fans coming out in full force. Why not? The Mets unbeaten so far. There's your man, Dylan G, on the mound tonight here at Citi Field. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. It is windy and chilly at Citi Field, but the Mets could care less. Why not? They're off to a 4-0 start, looking to make it 5-0 tonight against the Washington Nationals. And the team has played great. A little bump in the road today, though, as David Wright was originally in the starting lineup today, but was scratched late. He has a jammed pinky on his right hand and really couldn't even grip the bat today. So Wright, of course, wanted to play. Terry Collins said, going to rest him today, likely tomorrow, and hope to get him back on Friday. But Wright's still waiting for X-ray results, and that'll determine a lot, of course, how long he gets out. But you look at this Mets team, they're winning games in a lot of ways. The bullpen has been terrific, but it's sometimes the little things you don't see, like in last night's 4-3 win over the Nationals. First of all, the pitcher getting hits like Mike Pelfrey, and he didn't stop there. On the bases, he helps himself. Fly ball to right, make that center, and he tags up, goes to third. He would come home on David Wright's single. So a little thing done by Pelfrey to help himself. Then that bullpen. Ramon Ramirez in trouble with 2 on, with 1 out, gets a double play ball, and Murphy with the turn. Of course, everyone always watching when he gets those opportunities. He got the job done there, and it continued all night for this team. We talked about defense. There's Murphy on defense with the dive to stop that end of the Nationals threat in the 9th. Bottom 9 now. Mets looking for the walk-off win. How about this? Against the flamethrower Henry Rodriguez with 2 strikes. Tejada called on to bunt, and he gets it down beautifully. Of course, the misplay there. Baxter goes to third, and then Daniel Murphy comes through with the winner, and the Mets get the 4-3 win to go to 4-0 on the season. So you see all those little things that really help you out and have helped this Mets team. They've done it all right so far, although it's only a short sample size. Meanwhile, Keith Hernandez joins us from the booth upstairs. And Keith, you look at all those things, all those little things the Mets did right last night. Anything in particular stand out?
Well, it hasn't. Last night was a great win, a great ball game. But the thing that sticks out to me is that this team has come out of spring training. Remember, they had a bad spring. They've come out very focused. They're playing good ball. They're not making errors. They're not making mistakes in the field. But you know what? What it all boils down to, Kevin, is when a team pitches, and this team has been pitching. I really liked the way Pelfrey threw last night. If Pelfrey continues, ever since he slid over to that left of the mound, this is his 3rd start. He had 2 starts after that adjustment. I've liked the way he's thrown, and he's been building on it. I like the way he's going to win ball games. But when you pitch well and the bullpen's been spotless, you play better in the field. You're in ball games. Your energy's there, and that's what's been happening here. They've been doing the little things, and we just saw in all that B-roll there, and then getting the big hits. So it's a combination of everything. When you're going good, everything falls into place.
And Keith, obviously one thing this Mets team is doing right now is pitching, whether it's starting or relieving. Guy on the mound tonight making his 2012 debut is Dylan G. Won 13 games for the club last year, looking to pick up where he left off. Meanwhile, for the Nationals, it's their lefty, former #1 draft pick, Ross Detweiler, who beat out John Lannon for the 5th spot in that rotation. It's the Mets and Nationals. Mets looking to stay unbeaten here at chilly Citi Field. We've got the first pitch coming up next. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, preferred card of the Mets, by Burger King, by Budweiser, by AT NYN, rethink possible, by Geico, and by Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. Take a look at the Mets' upcoming schedule here. And remember, you can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Mets will finish with the Nationals this week in Philly on the weekend and then going to Atlanta. Mets and Pix 11 celebrating the Mets' 50th birthday. That'll be tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. It's Johan Santana against Steven Strasburg and the Nationals again. Visit Mets.com for your tickets. And here's the schedule. I jumped the gun on that one. You see the Mets in Philly and Atlanta after finishing up with the Nationals, trying to stay hot. And they'll try and do it behind the right arm of Dylan G, walking in from the bullpen. It's the Mets and the Nationals here at Citi Field. Gary, Keith, and Ron have the call in the first pitch when we come back on SNY.
Dylan G getting ready for his first start of the season. I'm Gary. This is Ron. Say hi, Ron.
Good to be back.
And Keith, you've already seen tonight.
They're tired of me.
I was wondering whether you were tired yourself. Here's your Ford starting lineup for the Washington Nationals. Steve Lombardozzi gets the start at second base. Remember, Danny Espinosa got elbowed in the head by Ruben Tejada on that bunt play in the ninth inning, so he'll get the night off tonight.
Dylan G had one of the best rookie seasons in Mets history, 13 wins last season. The only really Achilles heel is that most of that was done in the first half, struggled in the second half.
Dylan made his major league debut against the Nats 2 years ago and has always pitched well against them. His first pitch of this game to Ian Desmond is off the plate for ball one. Desmond 1 for 5 last night, 6 for 18 to start the year. And so far this year, getting on base at a much better clip than he did a year ago. And he takes that one just off the plate, and quickly G is behind 2-0. Dylan, in that first start against the Nats in September of 2010, came up and went 7 brilliant innings, allowing just 1 run and 2 hits. He's now 3-0 lifetime against the Nats, and Desmond cranks one to deep left field, and forget that. That is long gone. Desmond with a home run deep into the lower deck in right field. His first home run of the season, and just like that, the Nats take a 1-0 lead. So G falls behind the leadoff hitter, and Desmond cranks one out.
Not much to say about this pitch. 2-0. You got to come to the hitter, leadoff guy, center it in the middle of the plate, and he did not miss it.
And you got it belt high, inner half, and he just turned on it. Very fast bat, Desmond. Hit 7 home runs last year, but that was a no-doubter.
Now Lombardozzi, the switch-hitting second baseman, takes a fastball for a strike. Last year when G got off to his remarkable start, beginning the year 7-0, he was adept at keeping the ball in the ballpark. As Lombardozzi hits a looper into shallow right center, falling fast, and that drops in for a base hit. So back-to-back hits for the Nats to start the night.
Take a look at this swing from the side. Good balance. He just, oh, there you go. I mean, 2-0, you're sitting on a fastball, and hey, Dylan G saying here, hit it, and he just hit it out of the ballpark.
So now Ryan Zimmerman will step in with a man on. Zimmerman 1 RBI shy of 500 for his career. Remember, he got robbed of a hit by Daniel Murphy in the 9th inning last night.
He hit the ball hard 3 times, and his average is not indicative of how he's swinging the bat. They said in the opening series in Chicago against the Cubs that he hit 2 balls that would have been out, but as you said last night, Gary, April in Wrigley, the wind is blowing in. Well, he had a single and a double last night, and he went to right field with everything before that ball that Murphy smothered up the middle. And G, this is outside with a cutter, and he'll get a visit from Mike Nickias. We'll take a look at the Met defense. The Lexus defense, I think it's important to note there is Cedeno only the 4th start. Turner having to go to first base. It's going to be his first start over at first base professionally. So David Wright has kind of put a little crimp here with that injured pinky. Well, the plan all along was to give Ike Davis the day off today against the left-hander. Bounce to third. Cedeno with an early chance. Murphy can't get the ball out of his glove for the turn, and so the Mets are unable to turn the double play. They'll settle for the first out on the 5-4 force. And this is a little bit of inexperience by Murph. Excellent job by Cedeno to get rid of the ball quickly and with something on it. That protects Murph. The runner's not even there to take him out. And that's just Murph's inexperience to realize the ball's hit sharply. He's got the ball quickly to it in his hand. He could have took his time.
You know, if there's anything that works against Murph at second base, he's just too eager. I mean, that's the word I can use. He's just that eager.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Adam LaRoche, who had another good night last night, 2 for 3, couple of runs driven in, off to a very fast start after missing most of last season. And he takes the changeup for ball 1. We're talking about G and giving up home runs. Last year in his 7-0 start, that's 13 appearances and 10 starts, he allowed only 4 home runs. But things changed after that. His last 17 starts, he gave up 14 home runs. Interesting defensive alignment. You see the infield way over. Cedeno playing really in the shortstop's position. But look at the outfield. Basically straight up. And a slight shade in center to the opposite field. Interesting. And Hairston playing very deep in center field. This is really an odd lineup that the Mets have in there, because you obviously have a couple of defensively challenged players out there regularly with Murphy at second and Duda in right field. But now you're putting Turner into a position he's never played before. You'd probably have better defense if you played Turner at second and Murphy at first, but they just don't want to move Murphy. Let him stay at second base as Ike Davis sits and watches tonight. He's got an 0 for 15 working start the season. And he said it in the paper, and we've been saying it up here, that his rhythm's a little bit off. And it's no doubt he's out in front. When anybody slumps, you're too quick. And Ike has just been a little bit too quick. Hit 1 ball hard last night, right at the first baseman, LaRoche, who made a nice play to rob him of a hit. Now G behind up LaRoche, 3-1. And finds the strike zone. Full count. Wonder what he was looking for right there. 3-1. Got a fastball right out over the plate. Jason Worth on deck. LaRoche, a guy who will strike out. We'll see whether Davey Johnson puts Zimmerman in motion here.
I think he'll put him in motion.
And he does go, and LaRoche gets a piece of it to stay alive.
Because LaRoche is red hot.
Yeah, and Davey was very aggressive early in the game last night.
But I wonder how much of that last night had to do with Mike Pelfrey and trying to rattle Pelfrey a little bit.
That's a good call, Gare.
G generally does not get rattled in the same way with men on base. So Zimmerman was in motion on the first 3-2 pitch. And he's going again. And LaRoche fouls it off again. For Ian Desmond, his third career leadoff home run as he gets the Nats off to a fast start.
You know, we kind of washed over it because it was a 2-0 pitch and he hit it out of the ballpark. But I would tell you, one of the most difficult things for a starting pitcher is when that leadoff hitter has a little pop and he can't get away with just throwing one down the middle, and the worst thing he's going to do is hit a single or double off it.
The Mets once had a leadoff hitter named Tommy Agee,
yeah,
who could start a game with a home run. Ricky Henderson was pretty adept at that in his career, with everything else he could do. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat, but first to check in on Zimmerman at first base. Justin Turner taking that throw. Turner in his professional career had one appearance at first base in 2006 playing for Billings in the Pioneer League. And that wasn't even a start. There was just a few innings. 3-2 is in there for a call third strike, and Zimmerman a dead duck at second, didn't even slide. He just assumed that was ball 4, as LaRoche did, as Brian Gorman called a very high strike, and the Mets get to strike him out, throw him out, double play.
Can't assume.
And so Zimmerman tagged out. Let's check out the Geico starting lineup for the Mets, and it's a bench-laden lineup today with Ike Davis getting a rest and David Wright sitting out with a jammed pinky. David was supposed to get an X-ray right before the game today. No results in on that yet. So you see a more right-hand hitting lineup tonight against the lefty Ross Detweiler.
Well, Detweiler, you see the 10 starts, really started to win that position of the 5th starter at the end of last season. Then in spring training against John Landon was just better. And Landon, in his $5 million salary, went down to AAA, and Detweiler is their 5th starter.
Ruben Tejada leads things off. Ruben had another good night last night. 1 for 3, a double, a walk, and the sacrifice bunt that set the stage for the winning run in the ninth. Ruben 5 for 14. That's .357 to start the year. Facing the 26-year-old former first-round pick Ross Detweiler, and his first pitch is in for a strike. Detweiler is a guy who has always thrown across his body, and they've tinkered with his delivery over the years. He had a hip problem that kept him out for half a year in 2010, but finally got a chance to show what he could do late last year.
You know, it's very interesting when you watch Detweiler. One of the things they've done with him to try to make things easier is that he starts out from the windup and then slowly gets into the stretch and then proceeds to pitch to the plate. It's a very unusual but simplifying task for Detweiler. Starts out and then just gets in the stretch and then he goes.
I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher do that before. We've seen pitchers pitch exclusively from the stretch, but not walking into it that way.
Just walks into it and then just lifts that leg and goes.
It's a big leg kick.
And why don't you just pitch from the stretch? If you're a starting pitcher, you want to have some semblance of pitching from the windup, and that is the closest.
Well, the one thing about Detweiler that we've seen since late last season is he's throwing harder. He's more consistently in that 93 to 95 range, and it's an easy 93 to 95. 2-2 to Tejada leading off, and Ruben fouls one away. And Ruben has had a lot of long at-bats early in this season. Ronnie Cedeno in the 2-hole getting his first start of the year, and Daniel Murphy will bat third tonight.
Well, Tejada, the way he's been swinging the bat, and it's early, he's going to get his hits. First 2 games, hit the ball too much in the air, but now he's starting to get a little bit on top. Big 4-hit game the other day.
And he works the count full. David Johnson's team won their first 2 games in Chicago and come from behind fashion. Now they've lost 2 in a row. And Detweiler, who won that 5th starting job, beating out John Lannon, getting his first crack in the rotation this year. 3-2, and Tejada gets under one to left field. Pretty well hit. Nady going back to the warning track, right back at the wall, and he can't get it. It's an extra base hit. Tejada takes a turn and holds it second with a leadoff wall scraping double. And for Ruben Tejada, that's his 4th double, more than anybody else in the National League.
Well, you cannot throw a Ruben belt high. He likes that pitch right about mid-thigh belt. Let's see, Nady. Boys didn't get there quick enough, did he? He kind of drifted here.
So after the Nats leadoff hitter Desmond began the game with a home run, the Mets leadoff hitter Tejada nearly has one of his own and settles for a leadoff double. So here's Ronnie Cedeno, who played defensively in the first 3 games of the year, but this is his first plate appearance of the season. You see his numbers from last year when he did a lot of starting at shortstop for the Pirates. And he's looking to push a bunt and misses.
Precisely. I was surprised at Adam LaRoche, particularly with the left-hander out there. Left-handers follow through towards the third base side, not playing a little bit more in.
The way Ronnie ran up on that was not a sacrifice. That was bunting for a hit.
Well, all you have to do as the hitter there is get the first baseman field it, beat the pitcher to the bag.
And he's trying to go the other way. And sometimes hitters are so conscious of advancing the runner. This is Cedeno's first at bat. He's a veteran. He's been around. You can see his attempt, his focus is to go the other way. That you alter your swing and you become a big out.
He's almost put himself in his own hole, right?
Yep. So now trying to fight out of that 0-2 hole with Tejada at second and nobody out. And Detweiler throws the breaking ball low and in, 1-2. Ronnie Cedeno has been around for a long time, and he's been a starter sometimes in his career, and he's been a backup. And the reason why he has not been able to become a full-time starter, because he's an outstanding defensive player. His career on-base percentage is only .286, so he just has trouble creating enough offense to keep an everyday job. But a very useful player for the Mets to have as a backup infielder. 1-2 from Detweiler. First a look at Tejada with nobody moving to cover. Now the 1-2, and he fouls back that fastball. Cedeno filling in for David Wright, who hurt his pinky back in the 3rd inning last night. And as David put it, he said that Edwin Jackson surprised him with this pickoff throw, that he was getting ready to run, and so he was kind of making that desperate dive back, and that right pinky jammed against the bag. He iced it overnight, but it started swelling up, and so Terry Collins said, "You're sitting today." And we'll wait to see just how serious it is. Grounded toward the hole, and that's through into left field for a base hit. Tejada moves to 3rd after holding up on the ground ball, as Cedeno sneaks one through the hole, and he has a hit in his first at bat as a Met.
Well, there's Tejada, top of your screen. He's holding, making sure it gets through.
Remember, in last night's game, Tejada had the same circumstance. This ball, of course, more right of the shortstop Desmond. Went to 3rd. Desmond let him go. Got lucky last night. Played it safe tonight. Detweiler's curve right now, it's just, he's throwing it too slow, and it's a big, lazy curveball, easy to time.
So 1st and 3rd and nobody out. Here's Daniel Murphy, and he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Murphy had 2 more hits last night, including the game winner, his 2nd career walk-off hit, and then a face full of shaving cream, which wound up on Kevin's jacket.
Could hurt your knee by that way, you know.
I'm just waiting to hear how that shaving cream comes out of Kevin's nice SNY jacket, just in case we're ever presented with the same circumstance.
You know what I think is the funniest thing? Is that everyone, to a man, continues to do the interviews. Why don't they just walk in? I wouldn't do any more interview.
I think it's because they like Kevin.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's different then. But trying to sound serious with shaving cream on your face doesn't work.
Well, Murph's got that nice resonant voice. Future broadcaster.
There you go.
So I think he enjoys that.
Oh.
Ronnie Cedeno wearing the David Wright style shoes.
Can't say that I'm partial to that. It's contrasting colors, orange and blue.
Hey, the fans are true to the orange and blue. 2-1 from Detweiler, and Murph takes a letter high strike, and it's 2-2. It was Justin Turner who did the deed last night, and that was a full face full.
Wow.
And you know, if it's whipped cream, that's great. You lick it off. Shaving cream, though, that stings.
Chemicals.
But after it happened, you know, Murph's like, yeah, Kevin, I was just trying to get a good pitch to hit, trying to get the barrel to the ball. I mean, with shaving cream, it's hard to take it serious, Keith. Well, all in fun, though.
I would have to be inclined going in the clubhouses, though, guys. It's all very fun, but don't ever do that to me again.
We're just getting old.
And Murphy down swinging on the fastball, and Detweiler has his first out.
Well, Detweiler's got a pretty good fastball. He's straight. His breaking ball right now, what he's showing, he just beats Murph badly. And Murph's swing, gets a little bit too much left field with 2 strikes. And we'll take a look at the Nationals' Coors Light defense. And Desmond's errors at shortstop, those 23, and a lot of them were throwing errors. He's got a very strong arm, but it's like a shotgun.
Well, 23 better than the 34 he had the year before. And this is a big year for Desmond because with the emergence of Steve Lombardozzi as a potential middle infielder, and Danny Espinosa is a natural shortstop. So they've got lots of options as far as looking ahead. Jason Bay hitting cleanup tonight against the left-hander. Jason 0 for 3 last night, and he takes just off the plate, 1-0. Bay 2 for 12 to begin the season. Last year had a real struggle getting that runner in from 3rd with less than 2 out, just 44% success rate. Batting here with 1st and 3rd and one out with Duda on deck. And there's a letter high strike, and it's 1-1.
Well, they're playing. How shallow? Worth loves to play shallow. I mean, right field. Everybody else straight up. Don't. My mom would break out the ruler if I bit my nails.
No wonder. Pay pops it up, and Zimmerman right near the bag grabs it in foul ground, and Bays struggles, and the boos that have followed him continue. 2 out. So the Mets at first and third and nobody out. Now Detweiler on the verge of getting himself through this opening inning with Lucas Duda coming up. Duda hit 4 fly ball outs last night, went 0 for 4. Has 3 hits on the season, and 2 of them were home runs coming in the same game.
Well, the Mets haven't hit well with runners in scoring position so far this year, but with 2 outs they've been great.
Detweiler really working up in the strike zone.
He's got that big shoulder lift, and that's fine to work up, but you got hurt with Tejada. You got to know who you can pitch upstairs.
And Duda takes a strike. 1-1.
16 RBI with the Mets so far this year. 9 of them have come with 2 outs.
Justin Turner hitting 6th in the order, getting his first start of the year, waiting on deck. Duda with one of only 2 left-hand hitters in the lineup tonight as Detweiler runs one in on him, and it's 1-2.
This ball sunk. The last minute, see it run in.
Wow.
That's almost impossible. Well, if that far inside, that's impossible to hit.
We usually see that pitch from Johnny Venters. That's the same kind of action you see.
So now Detweiler 1 strike away from getting out of this.
Coming back in.
And he gets Duda to end the inning. So the Mets at first and third and nobody out, and they do not score. 1-0 Nats after 1. Eagerly anticipated events of the early season. Johan Santana and Steven Strasburg matching up here tomorrow. Santana, who missed all of last year with a shoulder injury, and Strasburg, who missed most of last year coming back from Tommy John surgery, and both have hit the ground running coming back in 2012, and they'll go head to head for the first time tomorrow. Dylan G gets ahead on Jason Worth, who went 1 for 4 last night. His first hit of the season was a triple. It'll be Worth, then Nady and Bernardina against G in the second, and he went around on that changeup, and it's 0-2.
I know this can't possibly be true, but Keith, sometimes when I watch Worth, he decides before the pitch comes whether he's swinging or not.
Do you think he's the first guy you've seen do that?
No, I mean, hitters always say they don't guess, but he starts it so early. It just makes me feel like he says, you know what, I'm letting it fire. I don't care where this pitch is.
Well, it's not like he's a 300 hitter, and when hitters go bad, everything speeds up, and that the optical illusion is that you want to start quicker, and really you have to slow down.
Hit .232 last year. By far his worst offensive season.
So right now he's going to be vulnerable inside because he's really conscious on protecting that plate. $94 million on that jackpot. Oh,
it's not quite that Mega Millions from a couple of weeks ago. Popped up in foul ground, and Nikias comes back for a look, but that's out of play. So it stays a ball and 2 strikes to Worth. We're talking about Dylan G and his record against the Nats. He had that first start, but then last year in May he carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning against Washington. So this has been his favorite team to face. 5 career starts, 3-0 with a 3.09 ERA. Now the 1-2 and another foul ball. G had that great first half last year, but did not pitch well in the second half of the season. And you would have expected that the Mets would have brought in some starting pitching depth in spring training to create a little competition. But G was handed the job from the beginning of spring training as Worth hits a rocket to the left field corner, and that'll be an extra base hit. He plays the carom, and Worth is in standing with a leadoff double.
Well, he's vulnerable away, and this pitch is a fastball, wants to get it in, and really didn't miss that much.
I just think too many fastballs in a row, Keith. That was maybe 3-4 in a row.
So he definitely ripped that one.
So Worth at second with nobody out. That's already leading 1-0, and the former Met Xavier Nady will come up.
I think the infielders want to know if they're going to change signs here, Ronnie. The middle infielders, you got to know.
I don't know if change signs, just know what the signs are.
Right, exactly, whatever the code is.
Anyway, we're talking about G, and he was extraordinary those first 10 or so starts last year, but the second half he was not the same pitcher. And for a kid who was not a highly thought of prospect when he first signed, 21st round draft pick, the Mets have showed an enormous amount of confidence that what Dylan showed the first half of the year was what he is. Nady making his second start of the season, playing left field for the injured Michael Morris, who looks like he might be out for a while longer.
Well, I think that you've had a couple of young Mets pitchers. Neese, finished up, said he kind of ran out of gas. Same with Dylan G last season. So you're thinking that if you're watching these two pitchers, you're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that if they get in a little better condition, that they'll be able to withstand the perils of 30 to 35 starts. I think the thing about Dylan that I will say is that when he struggled down the stretch, we always talked about how he carried himself on the mound, and when he was winning, he carried himself in a certain way. When he was losing, he carried himself in a certain way too. He wasn't one of those guys that started kicking the rubber and throwing the bat, pulling a Tiger Woods out there, throwing the club, just really was very professional out there. And I think that's what they're counting on, is that he's going to have that kind of professional attitude all year, know what it is to take care of himself and be ready and strong enough to pitch for 6 months. He's got the pitches.
And he strikes out Nady for the first out of the inning. The change up by G to get him for his second strikeout.
Well, it's his best pitch, Keith. The changeup is his signature pitch, but he can't live with it. He got an 80 there, but he's going to have to use his curveball, spot his fastball. Terry Collins has told him that. Dan Worthen's told him that. He hasn't done it yet, and that's probably why he's been in a little trouble here early in the game.
So one out. Here's Roger Bernardina, who went 0 for 4 last night. Bernardina 2 for 15 to begin the year. Worth at second and 1 out. And a first pitch changeup in for a strike. David Wright sitting out tonight with the jammed right pinky. A real shame, only because David is off to such a good start. We'll see how long that injury lingers. Certainly the hope is he'll be ready to go tomorrow. A ball and a strike to Bernardina, with net killer Wilson Ramos waiting on deck. Is there any Met pitcher who's been able to get Ramos out?
No. That would be no.
G's probably done the best of anybody. Had another good changeup. He's had a good one early in the game. 1-2 to Bernardina.
You can get away with a changeup for a strike. You can get away with it to get to 2 strikes. Third strike is always the toughest. Good pitch here to Bernardina. A good hitter is going to shorten up now with 2 strikes.
Here's the 1-2, and he bounces that changeup.
Anytime a pitcher has a sinker, whether it's a fastball or a changeup, you always want to get the elevation when it will sink and sink for a strike, and know the elevation. Anything below that, it's going to sink low in the strike zone, because they're always going to try to get you to fish for that one that's fading out of the strike zone.
Popped up in foul ground. Cedeno over near the railing, and Nickius, and it lands just beyond their reach.
And so a guy like G, you have to look for the ball up. How do you know it's going to be up in the strike zone and not down?
Well, obviously when it's an off-speed pitch, you're going to identify the changeup because it's off speed, and then anticipate its sink. He doesn't throw, and it's just rote after a while. You keep facing someone and you get more familiar with them and their pitches. I mean, he doesn't have, every time he's going to throw a change, it's going to sink. So make him get it up.
Now, is that harder to identify if you're facing, say, a splitter than if you're facing a conventional changeup?
Yes, the splitter was the pitch that changed everything. It saved a lot of pitchers. It just, you could never identify it. It came in like a fastball. It sunk hard, and you could throw it like a fastball. Ronnie can well attest to that. Ronnie threw an excellent split finger.
Long turn at bat for Bernardina. And he lines one into center for a base hit. Worth to third. He'll be held up there by Bo Porter, but the throw from Hairston goes awry. G, though, does a nice job backing up, and the runners have to hold at first and third. Horrible throw by Hairston, but that's why pitchers are taught to back up the plate.
Well, they try to go upstairs on him here, and it's right down the outer half. Not a good pitch. Wanted it in. And this is the throw is way off here. And Bo Porter, the third base coach, in defense of him, he can't anticipate a bad throw. G's got to back up, Ronnie.
That's right. Give some hustle. Recognize that there might be a play at home. Recognize where the play is going to be and make the play. Still gives himself a chance to get out of the inning with a double play.
Saved himself a run by being in the right place.
What you guys talk about, the little things before the game?
Well, you're a stickler on pitchers backing up. A couple of years ago, the Met staff didn't back up very good.
So here's Wilson Ramos, who is a lifetime .481 hitter against the Mets. Not a misprint. .481 with 3 homers and 54 at bats. And G takes a look, but he's only 1 for 6 against Dylan G. By the way, I wanted to parenthetically note that one of the progenitors of the split-fingered fastball, Roger Craig, is going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, he is.
Well, tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of the Mets' first game, which Roger pitched in St. Louis, so he's going to throw out the first pitch.
Sure, good.
And he taught a lot of guys that splitter, particularly that whole Giant staff. G with the comebacker, and Tejada with the turn for the 1-6-3 double play. So G backs up home plate and then backs that up by starting the double play to get himself out of the inning. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:10 as Steven Strasburg takes the mound for the Nationals against Johan Santana. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now.
These are always interesting, these meetings between the catcher, the pitching coach, the pitcher, as they're all discussing. There's an old ex-catcher, Bob Guerin, getting in on the mix. Josh Tolley, the catcher, he wants to hear what's going on. So they're all on the same page as you go through this 6-month season. Nickius with the pat of Wortham meant Wortham was doing most of the talking. And maybe not so happy.
But you know, we were talking between innings, Ronnie. Dylan G gives up 2 bullets in that inning. But because he was able to field his position twice, he doesn't give up a run.
Good things come your way when you play the game right. That was outstanding by Dylan, and a nice pitch to get out of the inning.
Justin Turner making his first ever start at first base and his first start anywhere this season. Facing Ross Detweiler, who misses wide for ball 1. Mets got the first 2 men on against Detweiler in the first, but then he was able to get through it with a couple of strikeouts, sandwiching a pop-up. Turner, Hairston, and Nickius, 3 right-hand batters, up in the home second. And Turner rolls one out to Lombardozzi, and that's the first down of the inning.
The one thing that'll be interesting to watch with Detweiler is that when he was competing with Lannon in spring training, Lannon started all the games, and Detweiler would come in and pitch 2, maybe 3 innings. So certainly not stretched out as much as a conventional starter in spring training.
And even when he has been, he's made 29 career starts and gone to 100 pitches in only 2 of the 29.
Well, we were talking in the first inning, Ron, about the high fastball he's been throwing. This is not a guy you want to throw a high fastball to.
Scott Hairston 2 for 6 to begin the year. And making the start in center field tonight, takes a strike. Ian Kirk Neuenhuis right now in a pretty strict platoon in center field. So Neuenhuis, who hit a home run last night, will be back in there tomorrow against Strasburg. Then the Mets face 2 lefties in Philadelphia, Lee and Hamels, over the weekend. Hairston hits it well out to right field, chasing Worth back to the warning track, and he makes the stumbling grab for the second out. Well, Worth playing shallow like he does against everybody, but retreated well.
And he can pick it. He covers a lot of ground, long legs, gets good jumps on balls. He's one of the better right fielders in the National League.
There's almost a part of him that dares you to hit the ball over his head. Go ahead. I'll still catch it.
A little bit of wind there.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Mike Nickius making his second start of the season and looking for his first hit.
Mike, very clean shaven. Look at that. That is a nice close shave.
Would you like to find out his brand of razor?
I was just going to say, Atra, are you listening?
You thinking there might be an endorsement contract in there for him? Now the 2-0 to Nickius, and that's a strike.
Well, that's the opposite.
Well, Dylan might get paid to shave off the beard at some point.
That's right.
If he's so inclined. Could donate that thing to charity.
Just depends. He gets a little winning streak. That's going nowhere.
On the other hand,
yes.
Inside to Nickius, 3-2. Ross Detweiler out of Missouri State, same school that produced Ryan Howard. And it's inside, ball 4, and he walks the number 8 hitter. So the Mets will clear the pitcher's spot here in the second. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. That is some nice slow motion. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Even that logo right there, the Mercedes-Benz, looked good in slow motion.
Well, it was covering up the action, though, so we couldn't see all of it. Here's Dylan G with a runner at first and 2 down. Dylan had 5 hits last year. And he takes a strike. Mets down 1-0 as they bat in the second. Ian Desmond with a leadoff home run against G in the first.
G can handle the bat a little bit. That first start that you talked about against the Nationals in National Stadium also had a ringing double, I believe, in that game.
That's introducing yourself to the big leagues in a big way. Detweiler is throwing the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer, and he's been successful with both of them early on.
His fastball is his best pitch.
Ahead on G, 1-2. And that curveball misses low and in. 2-2.
He was born in St. Louis in spring training of '86. Ron,
he was.
Is that Detweiler you're talking about?
Yes.
You were gone by then.
Yep.
Not forgotten, though.
Rounded toward the hole. Nice play by Desmond. The long throw on target to get him. Outstanding play by Ian Desmond for the 3rd out of the inning. Dylan G heading back to the mound for the 3rd, making his first start of the season. 1-0 Nats. preferred card of the Mets. Get a recap of tomorrow's Mets Nationals matinee, plus a breakdown of the Santana-Strasburg matchup in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, tomorrow at 5:30, only on SNY. Were you in the Wheelhouse today?
No, I was in the loudmouths. I talked as loud as I could talk, because I mean I know the show.
Did you keep up with Carlin and Shine?
No, it was half the decibels that they usually speak, but I tried to, I don't know, fill some time. That's what I did.
Brilliantly, I'm sure. Ross Detweiler leads off in the third inning against Dylan G. Detweiler 2 for 19 at the plate last year. Well, the Marlins and the Phillies are off today. They'll resume their series tomorrow. But the big story in baseball today concerns the Marlins manager Ozzie Guillen, who was forced on his day off to endure an hour-long press grilling about his ill-conceived comments regarding Fidel Castro. And Ozzie has been slapped with a 5-game suspension by the Marlins. The commissioner's office issued a statement that they supported the 5-game suspension. It really is, in so many respects, a perfect storm. Because here you have an outspoken Latino manager making comments that, for the Cuban American community in Miami, which is so large and so influential and such a big part of the Marlins ticket base, for a team that just built a new stadium in a part of Miami called Little Havana, and if you're Ozzie Guillen, you could not have picked a worse time, a worse subject, or a worse venue than what he did.
Well, you know, I've known Ozzie Guillen for a long time, and this is one of the things about Ozzie is that, you know when you hire Ozzie, you're going to get a guy who's outspoken, who's brash, who's can be funny, as Justin Turner makes his first play at first base, and can say some outrageous things. He's called a writer a slur in Chicago. He's made comments about political leaders all over the country, and chose in the Time magazine article, I believe, to talk about Fidel Castro. And anyone who spent any time in Miami, there's 60 years of frustration and hate is really
it's hatred.
It's hatred. And my feeling is that, and you hate to ever talk about someone's job, he has a 5-game suspension. I believe he's going to have a really difficult time righting this ship, in my opinion.
Well, you know, the fact that he's lives in Miami, he should know the demographics there, and it's predominantly, you know, Cuban American down there, and it was really kind of an amazing comment. So he was grilled.
And for anybody who was living in a hole the last 48 hours, what he said was that he loves Fidel Castro and that he had great respect for him for being able to survive in leadership for so many years in Cuba. And, you know, he tried to walk the comments back, saying that today that what he really meant to say, what he was trying to formulate in Spanish but didn't come out right in English, was that he is just surprised that Castro has lasted for so long. And, you know, here's the problem. I mean, I think making a comment of a political nature as an athlete or as a manager gets you in trouble often, but I don't think really that's what this is about at the end of the day for the Marlins and in their reaction. It's all about business.
Yes.
They can't afford, as a franchise, to have a guy who represents them alienate such an enormous part of their customer base.
Not only represents them, one of the reasons he was hired is because he was going to be the big sell of the team, one of the great people to be part of this team and sell this team to the Miami community, because let's face it, I know they were in a football ballpark, but they've had a real hard time getting people to come watch their games, and that was supposed to be different in their new beautiful stadium.
Lombardozzi fouls one.
So I beg the question, is he going to survive this?
Well, the interesting thing is they've slapped him with a 5-game suspension, but for the most part during that suspension, the Marlins are on the road. The proof is going to be when they come home to see what the reaction is to Ozzie. Lombardozzi is hit, but did he swing at it? They're going to check it at third. They say no swing, so Lombardozzi will go to first base.
Did that get him in the knee? It surely did.
He swung too. He swung the bat. So what you say?
Check it out from the side. Certainly looked like he did swing.
Nope. G hit 14 batters last year in 160 2/3. That's a lot. He's off to a rip-roaring start here. That's a tough spot to get hit in the knee.
I'm surprised Terry didn't come out to argue that. That clearly looked like Lombardozzi swung, and it doesn't matter if you get hit. If you swing the bat, it's a strike. So he's at first with 2 out. Now Ryan Zimmerman, who hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Curveball from G, and that's a strike.
I think what you run into, Keith, and you ask a great question, is that when the 5-game suspension ends, they will, they are Cuban Americans, Cuban exiles down there are very well politicized. They are going to form groups, and they are going to picket the stadium, and they're going to make it a bad place to go, an inappropriate place to go, as long as Ozzie's manager. And that, I don't know how you fix that.
Well, I guess it depends what portion of the Cuban American community accepts his apology.
Yeah.
Because some will.
Yeah.
And I think that might also be, and I've heard this said by many Cuban Americans today, it might be a generational thing in that the younger second generation folks in that community might be somewhat more forgiving than the older folks.
Yeah. The older folks who, of course, relayed all the horror stories to those children when they were little. That bended knee.
0-1 to Zimmerman. And then there are also people who will use this for their own political purposes. So it'll be interesting to see what the dynamic winds up being. But what's interesting, and what I've read today, is that this is not the first time that Ozzie made pro-Castro comments. He did in an article in 2008, but then he wasn't managing in Miami and nobody noticed. It's all about time and place. Here's the 0-2 to Zimmerman, and he taps one down to Turner. Has a couple of chances to handle in the inning and handles them flawlessly as he almost jogged too slowly as Zimmerman hustled down the line. Side retired, 1-0 Nats in the third. It's where the world meets, you know, Grand Central Station.
Yes.
They don't like you calling it that anymore. It's Grand Central Terminal. Does anybody actually call it that?
No.
It's Grand Central Station.
Yeah, Grand Central Station.
Please.
Metro North, next up, Bridgeport.
You know what that's like? It's like, does anybody who actually lives in New York call it the Big Apple?
No.
Right?
No. And no one calls it, if you live Manhattan, you don't call it New York City.
Right.
You live Manhattan.
Well, you live in the city.
Yeah, in the city. You can do in the city. But you never say New York
Like
City.
in Boston, does anybody in Boston say Beantown?
No.
Right?
No.
Nobody in San Francisco says Frisco?
No.
Right? It's all the convention bureau's concoction.
Traveling tourism.
Exactly. Ruben Tejada led off the first inning with a double off the wall and left, but the Mets couldn't get him around after a double by Tejada and a single by Cedeno. Ross Detweiler has settled in, retired 6 of the next 7, and has a 1-0 lead in the home third. Off-speed pitch from Detweiler, and it's 0-2. Tejada, Cedeno, and Murphy in this makeshift Mets lineup. Ike Davis getting the day off after an 0-for-15 start, and in deference to getting Ike the rest that he might need if indeed he has valley fever, which the Mets are presuming and continues to be a mild concern. And then David Wright scratched from the lineup about 2.5 hours before the game because he suffered a jammed pinky in last night's game. So the Mets with a little different look to their lineup tonight. Detweiler with a 1-2, and the breaking ball in for a call, third strike. Nicely done by Detweiler for his third strikeout. Well, it is a special day of the week here at Citi Field. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
They call it T-Shirt Tuesday, Gary, here at Citi Field. Every Tuesday home game this year, T-Shirt Tuesday, a nice little promotion. Find out about it at Mets.com. $19 tickets here in the left field landing. This whole section up here, which is great. The seats are great. And with the $19 ticket, you get a T-shirt. But it's not your normal run-of-the-mill T-shirt as a bunt attempt goes foul. It's a little different, and they're going to be different every time. This particular T-shirt has Buddy Alderson. That's Sandy Alderson's dog. It's his GM's best friend. Buddy, for those of you who don't know, kind of had its own personality on Twitter after Sandy Alderson joined Twitter. And on the back, that's Sandy's Twitter handle. I only saw 2 people wearing the shirts, probably because it feels like it's 40 below out here. But it's a neat idea, and it'll be a different design every Tuesday. So $19, can't beat it.
So, Kevin, will you tonight be tracking the number of new followers that Sandy gets for his Twitter account based on this T-shirt?
I think the fake Buddy account may actually get more after this promotion, Gary. That's my feeling.
Oh, you mean it's not actually Buddy?
Maybe it is. For all I know.
Well, T-shirt Tuesdays every Tuesday. Next T-shirt Tuesday will be April 24th. And I guess they're not telling people in advance what the designs are going to be from week to week.
Nice.
Hit sharply, but right at the shortstop. Desmond, who bobbles it, recovers and throws out Cedeno. So Desmond, who made an outstanding play on G to end the second, nearly botched the routine play.
No, he's got a great arm.
I didn't realize his arm was that strong.
Yes.
Would you put him in the Tulowitzki-Reyes category of arm strength?
The notch below.
Not too far below.
Yeah.
The temperature's in the 50s, but the wind is howling tonight, and that's why it is so chilly in the stands.
Like Nanook of the North.
And guys, a bit of a more serious stuff dealing with the Mets. Gary, you just mentioned Ike Davis before you threw it out to me. And I talked to Ike today, about the day off and about kind of the plan. And he said basically our conversation, his and Terry Collins, that is, in the beginning of spring, Terry was certainly going to look at matchups and just try to make sure that he got enough rest, whether or not Ike was feeling symptoms. And he also told Ike, hey, listen, if you're feeling a little winded, don't be hesitant, come and tell me. And Ike said, look, I'm never going to do that. So, bottom line is Terry says, hey, you're going to have off today. Ike said, I think it works well for the timing, get a little mental day, get Justin in there, and the Mets are down here in the inning.
Detweiler dominant, getting that curveball over and striking out Murphy for the second time after 3, 1-0 Nats. First recipient of this year's SNY Play Ball Award, receiving $5,000 for much-needed field improvements. Now it's your turn. Help your youth baseball or softball league with a $5,000 grant. Apply for the SNY Play Ball Award presented by Citi today at sny.tv/playball. Now LaRoche rolls one foul as we start the fourth inning. LaRoche went down looking his first time up. Dylan G gave up a run to the first batter to face him. AT Desmond hit a home run. G got out of trouble in the second inning. Hit a batter, but no further damage in the third as he starts to settle in his first start of the year. When G struggled last year, it was often against the left-hand hitters. They hit 45 points higher than the right-hand batters against him last year. Ball and a strike to LaRoche.
Well, his natural zone is that fastball up and in, running up and in, upstairs and inside to right-hand hitters. And that's a good pitch to hit for a left-hander. And he lost command of his curveball the second half, Ron.
Yep. That'll be a pitch that he's got to throw 20 times a game out of 100 pitches.
Right now it's more like 4 or 5. It seems. It's upstairs with that changeup, and it's 2-2. Jason Worth on deck, then Xavier Nady here in the top of the fourth.
Mets stay with that shift. Murphy way deep in the outfield.
Cutter from G, and now full count. Now the 3-2, and he got him. So G strikes out LaRoche for the first out of the inning.
Good little slider here.
Almost another pitch that hits the left-handed hitter like it did a Lombardozzi. A swing and a miss by LaRoche.
Third strikeout for G. Second time he's gotten LaRoche. One out. Jason Worth coming up. Worth drilled a double to the left field corner his first time up. His second extra base hit in 2 games in this series. And he takes a changeup for a strike. Well, the Nationals making progress last year. 80 wins after just 69 the year before, and certainly expecting to have a winning season this year with the upgrades to their pitching staff, with a full season of Strasburg and adding Gio Gonzalez and Edwin Jackson. Slow ground ball, tough play for G on the backhand, and he wings it over to first to get Worth. Nicely done by Dylan G for the second out. Well, these are some of the ideas that we've slung together to talk about what the Nats need to do this year to be successful.
Well, when you look at this, Strasburg is supposed to be shut down, folks, after 160 innings pitched. That takes them through about 24 starts. Repeat performance by Michael Morris. That's a very interesting part of this one, because he had a setback in the minor leagues yesterday, is having trouble throwing. Bryce Harper is their next great star. Probably don't want to start the clock on him till the end of May. But the most important, I think, and we discussed this more over dinner than anything else, is Espinosa and Desmond, the real deal up the middle.
And there's Mr. Strasburg right there.
Curveball by G to start off Xavier Nady, and it's 0-1. Well, the Nats, in many respects, decided to go for it this year, and they did that in a lot of different ways. They gave Ryan Zimmerman a long contract extension. They traded some young pitching to get a more experienced arm in Gio Gonzalez. By the way, one of the guys they traded, Tom Malone, pitched a gem in his first start for the A's last night. And Nady down swinging, curveball from G. So Dylan going to that hook, and he gets a couple of strikeouts in the inning. Davey Johnson, manager of the Mets from 84 to 90. Who was the manager right before him, and who was the manager right after him?
Well, I definitely know those.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, you were here for that.
I was for both of them.
Jason Bay leads off in the home fourth inning. Jason came up with first and third and one out in the first inning and fouled out to third.
Wasn't one of those guys around 6'8"?
And the other was much smaller.
Yes, he was.
And Detweiler, for the 7th time in 13 batters, gets ahead 0-2. That's how good he's been tonight.
Was one of the guys the guy that would lift weights in the sauna?
Oh. Hardly any clothes on, too.
I was going to say, could you even describe that?
It was
Strike 3 called, and that's 5 strikeouts for Detweiler. And the boos get more vociferous with every out recorded by Jason Bay. Now, Jason got a pretty good pass the first couple of years with the Mets because he plays the game so hard, because he is such an engaging personality. But I think in year 3 of his 4-year deal, the fans are having a whole lot less patience.
Well, I think part of it also, guys, is that fans are looking. They're seeing the Duda, and they're seeing Davis, and then Wright's getting off to the quick start. The young Tejada, you know, the eager Murph at second base. And like, you know what? If we get some numbers from left field, we're going to really have an opportunity to do some serious things here.
Duda struck out his first time up. And Detweiler looked like he might have crossed up Ramos 1-1.
You know, Davey was the part of that trivia question. Only guy to hit behind Hank Aaron and Sadahara O. Had that amazing year in '73. I'll never forget. Right, 43 home runs, 99 RBI.
Part of the first team ever to have 3 players hit 40 home runs in a season.
Yep. That would have been Darrell Evans was one, Hank and Davey. Darrell Evans, dead pull hitter.
He's the only guy I've ever seen that in batting practice would intentionally pull the ball foul for a home run.
I'm talking about Darrell Evans.
Darrell Evans. He would stand in the box in Detroit Stadium, Tiger Stadium, and hit the ball, rattle it off the foul bleachers. And because he said, you know, in the game they throw harder.
Sure.
So I'll keep it fair.
It worked. Get over 400 home runs.
He did.
It's an interesting philosophy.
2-2 to Duda, and the breaking ball low and away.
Never quite thought of it that way.
Davey was a heck of a player himself. 136 home runs, 609 RBIs, 3 Gold Gloves, and 3 World Championships. 66, 70 as a player, and of course that 86 team.
Well, and of course they expected to win in 69.
Yes.
They were a dominant team that year, won 109 games, the Orioles. He was a terrific double play partner for Mark Belanger on that Orioles team. Bouncing ball for Lombardozzi, who comes in to get it. And Detweiler continues to roll. 2 out.
You know, I will say going forward that David and I didn't always agree on things. I always felt like, I don't know, like he knew I could take it, so he'd give me the needle every once in a while. But utmost respect for him. The guy knew how to get guys to play. And, you know, I asked him, we were just chatting about managing with so much time in between and the things that have changed. And he said that one of the things he spends time on that he never had to in the past is teaching fundamental things that were just, I don't know, intrinsic or inherent in the day. Those are things that he said he spends a lot of time just chatting with his players about.
Well, I love playing for him.
Yeah.
He just left you alone. You come to the ballpark. He never had to worry about me not being in the lineup, and he just played hard. He left you alone. And he would joke around with you, too. He'd come back on the airplane flights and come back with the boys and yuck it up with us once in a while.
Is that what you called it? Yuck it up? Yeah, you're right.
Well, Ronnie made an interesting point, though. You know, Davey used to get on Ronnie because he thought he could take it. That's something that, you know, some managers will do, identify, you know, who can take the hits and who can't.
Well, he and I were probably more closely alike than we were not, and that's probably why we occasionally butted heads.
Detweiler rolling. He's got 6 strikeouts, and he's got a 1-0 lead after 4. we asked who was the Mets manager before and after Davey Johnson. Of course, Big Frank Howard was before, and Buddy Harrelson took over in May of 1990.
Frank took over for George Bamberger.
That's right.
Who quit.
Who said, I'm going fishing. That's exactly what he said. He said, I'm done. I'm going fishing.
Big Hondo.
Hondo is the weightlifter, by the way, folks, out there.
Remember that time he snapped in 83? The second half when he thought some people were backstabbing him, talking behind his back, and he came in screaming in the clubhouse after the game. I just sat in my locker. That was a big guy.
I mean, you had grown men in there, and everyone was cowering in their lockers like, don't look at me, Frank, please.
Thank God. It wasn't me. I just got there.
Bernardino swings over the changeup. Well, there are legendary stories about Frank Howard from the time that he one-handed Craig Swan up against the bus.
Right.
And
in Chicago, when Bill Robinson went into over the top of the dugout at Wrigley, he snapped. And there was a big ruckus. And Hondo
hits it foul.
Hondo came out and said, "When anybody else moves one more move, I'll rip your heart out." And that was it. It was like E.F. Hutton. That was the end of it.
I was the reason. I guess I was the reason for that. As I was coming off the mound after taking another shellacking from those '84 Cubs, a guy threw a full beer in my face, and I guess it tells you a little bit about that team, that they were all going over. I mean, that was it. They were not going to take that. And Bill was the first.
And Hondo would throw BP. He had a rubber arm, and he would work hard. He'd hit ground balls. He was just a great coach.
Strikeout number 5 for Dylan G as he gets Bernardino on the foul tip.
Well, that's that changeup again. So much movement. Of course, 10 miles an hour slower. And out in front is Bernardino.
So 1 out. That'll bring up Wilson Ramos, who had a comebacker into a double play his first time up. And of course, Frank Howard was one of the most fearsome power hitters ever. Started out with the Dodgers, and then he was the reason to go to the ballpark to watch the Washington Senators play.
He used to have an unusual hitting style. He kind of ran up to the ball and had that big kind of bat would go back and forth and just generate so much power.
Up the middle and a base hit for Ramos. That's about right. Ramos 1 for 2 tonight.
He got him out when he needed to get him out back in the second. Got that double play.
5th hit for the Nationals, and now Detweiler, who has had a tremendous night on the mound so far, will go up there looking to bunt. Detweiler grounded out to first base his first time up. And then the other piece of that trivia answer, of course, was Buddy, who has a new book out, an autobiography.
I know, that's great. Got to get a hold of that.
Looking forward to reading that. Of course, Buddy was as beloved a player and coach as the Mets ever had before taking over as manager in 1990.
I love Buddy's BP. He threw great BP.
Straight as an arrow, right?
Oh, he just was sweet. He just fine-tuned me.
You have an inexperienced third baseman in Cedeno and an inexperienced first baseman in Turner on this bunt play.
And they're both being very aggressive, charging.
I like it. Problem is Dylan's not throwing a strike.
It used to always drive me crazy on a hot day game in August. Please just throw it over the plate. Let him bunt it.
When you're charging on every pitch.
Yes.
And then you've got the inexperienced at second. And I know you were watching the Phillies game yesterday when Freddie Galvis, the young second baseman, didn't get over to cover.
Well, pushed a bunt. A bunt was pushed to Cole Hamels, who fielded it, and the first baseman came and the second baseman did not cover, and Hamels threw it into right field, figuring that he had to be there.
G fields the bunt. Murphy covers correctly, and the sacrifice is successful for Detweiler. 1-4, moving Ramos over to second.
Nationals could have used that last night in the top of the 9th.
Desmond up in a bunting situation and bunted into a fielder's choice as Ike Davis made the play.
Leadoff walk in the 9th inning in a tie ball game.
What was that ball that Tejada snow coned at second base?
Yes.
So now Desmond, who delivered the keynote tonight with a leadoff home run, the third leadoff home run of his career. And there's a curveball for a strike from G. In fact, the last player to hit a leadoff home run against the Mets before tonight was Ian Desmond.
Oh, wow.
Last September.
What a great pitch that was there. Leadoff curveball. He had not seen one all night. Third time through the lineup.
Nope, 2-0 fastball. Inner half, belt high. He knew it.
You know, Ronnie, last night Mike Pelfrey didn't unveil his curveball till the fourth inning, and G basically did the same thing tonight. Is that by design?
You know, it's interesting. You and I were talking about it in between innings with Keith. I was thinking that maybe it is because all the pitchers have done it. Now Santana's in a different class, so you know we don't. He knows exactly what he's doing. But maybe it is where these starting pitchers are trying to keep it simple early and then kind of evolve into their other pitches and try to get deeper into the game. If it is, it's a good game plan. You just have to be overly aggressive early. Can't get behind the hitters.
And I tell you what, last 3 starts going back to spring training when Pelfrey moved over to the first base side of the rubber, which where Dillon throws. I like the way he's throwing. He's going to win some ball games.
3-1 to Desmond. And he misses outside, ball 4. So he threw him a 3-1 changeup and walked him.
Wasn't a complete pitch around, but kind of.
First walk given up by G tonight. He's also hit a batter. And now 2 on for Steve Lombardozzi as Dan Warthen will pay a visit. G up to 81 pitches, working with 2 out in the 5th inning. By the way, last night we talked a lot about the Mets bullpen and how Terry Collins was going to use things, and I just went to Terry today to clarify last night. Remember, Frank Francisco did get up when the Mets were batting in the 8th inning and then sat down, didn't pitch the 9th, and we were speculating about what had transpired, and basically what Terry said was that if he had the lead, he was going to bring Francisco in to pitch the 9th, but that he did not want to use him in a tie game because, you know, it was his 3rd straight day.
I do think that was one of the themes of the game, though. Themes of the game for Terry Collins last night, holding people back. Not many managers do that.
And he held Burdack back, didn't use him in the 7th when he could have because he thought he might need him in the 9th. So here's Lombardozzi, who's been on base twice with a single and also hit on the knee by a pitch.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Talking about now 3 days in a row, he did warm up and got warm to get ready. How does that affect him? Is that like, it's not like an appearance, but he did get up.
You know what happens for these relief pitchers, especially the veteran ones? They're so good at knowing and managing themselves that they get up and they get lukewarm, Keith. They don't get hot, so that they are not really taxing their body as much as a younger pitcher might do.
2-1 to Lombardozzi. And I think that's a great point. I think we saw Francisco maybe take 8 or 10 tosses in the bullpen, just measuring the situation to try and figure out whether he needed to go full bore. And then he sat down. Two out, 2 on, and Lombardozzi swings over the changeup, and it's 2-2.
Well, it's been ditto here. Fastball up and in, changeup. Fastball up and in, changeup.
Remember Murph said last night the reason he was aggressive because he thought the pitcher was going to go after him and not right. Maybe that's how Lombardozzi felt in this situation with Zimmerman on deck.
Going back in.
2-2. And he got it in off his fists and he fouled it off.
Good pitch. It was a little cutter, wasn't it?
He's used that pitch a lot tonight.
Good location here.
If he can ever get to the point where he can cut the ball in and then follow that with a ball that starts at the hip and comes back, there's no chance that Lombardozzi will swing the bat.
Again, the 2-2. Lifted in the air to right. Duda got a late start back, but he's got plenty of time to get there. And he makes the catch to end the inning. G works around a couple of base runners halfway through. 1-0 Nets. Swing by Ian Desmond leading off the game has provided the game's only run. Dylan G has been pretty good after that, but Ross Detweiler has been much better. Detweiler gave up hits to the first two batters to face him and just one base runner since, retiring 12 of the last 13. As he takes them out for the bottom of the fifth, Scott Hairston will lead off.
Well, you know, it's cliche and it's an old adage, but it's true, and it still holds true, and that is it takes 25 to win. And now with Wright out, and you need the bench here to come through.
Well, between the rest that Davis is getting and the injury to Wright and the lefty starting so that you use your backup catcher and your backup center fielder, the Mets basically are having a bench night tonight as Hairston pops one up. Lombardozzi circling and puts it away as he staggers. One out.
Well, I'll give you an example, Gare, in '86 and then '82, the 2 years that I won a championship team. We had Carter that went down. Carter was having an MVP year, and I think Gary would have been the MVP that year if he didn't get hurt. Ed Hearn came in. All Met fans know what he did. He filled in beautifully. In '82 in St. Louis, Darrell Porter went down. Gene Tennis came off the bench as our second catcher. Within a week, Tennis was diving for a foul ball and broke his wrist, and we had to call up Glenn Brummer.
Oh, wow.
No one knew what the heck he was from AAA. And Brummer played for around 4 weeks, 3 weeks. He did a great job for us. That's what it takes.
Nikias hits one off the end of the bat right to Lombardozzi. So is the measure of whether you have a good bench, whether guys can come off the bench and get pinch hits, or is it more what they can do when you give them a spot start, or what they do for that 2-week period when a guy's hurt? How do you measure whether your bench is successful or not?
I think all of the above. You never know in the season what's going to be required of your bench. I mean, you can't just run out your players every day and have them play 161. You're going to have them spot start. I always felt that the best benches in my 17 years, and I think Ronnie will concur, is that we're veteran benches. Yeah. You had the Davey Lopes, the Jay Johnstones, the Rick Mondays. It's a tough spot to be in.
I will say really quickly, within good teams, there's fraternity of teams. The bullpen is pulling for each other. The starting pitchers are competing with each other. Everyday players you leave alone. But if guys are at second base are platooning, they're pulling for each other to together put up a big number. So you can get these fraternities within the team that they come together and they become best pals on and off the field and push for each other. Then you have gold.
Sometimes that's the guys on the bench forming the bomb squad, like today. Desmond throws out G. Detweiler continues to pitch brilliantly. He's retired 10 in a row. to keep track of some of the Mets' top prospects, particularly the pitchers. Matt Harvey made his second start of the year, pitching in the rain for the Buffalo Bisons in Rochester today. And much like his first start, it was kind of an up and down outing for Matt today. His final line, 5 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits. You see his pitching line, 92 pitches in those 5 innings.
He's got a good breaking ball, though.
Whoa, wow.
Straight downer.
Ryan Zimmerman leading off the 6th inning against Dylan G, who falls behind him 2-0. Zimmerman is 0 for 2. Well, Craig Stammen is up in the Washington bullpen, and you might say, what the heck? Because Detweiler's thrown only 71 pitches, and he has been dominant. But Ronnie raised the point earlier. He was working short stints in spring training this year, preparatory to working in the bullpen. And it wasn't until very late in the spring that they made the decision to put him in the rotation.
So he's still building his arm strength, obviously.
Well, the Mets would be thrilled if he comes out of this game.
Boy.
3-1 to Zimmerman. I mean, Detweiler is a guy who was a first-round draft pick, and now just late last season for the first time started to show what he's capable of. And off what we've seen here today, it looks like the Nats have even more depth in that rotation. Rocket hit to left field, and that'll go all the way back to the wall for Ryan Zimmerman. So Zimmerman with a leadoff double. His 3rd hit in 7 at-bats in this series.
Second double.
I don't care what he's hitting. It looks like the old Zimmerman to me.
He looks good. I like his swing. It's such a fast bat. And much like Miguel Cabrera with the Tigers, who I think is one of the premier hitters, obviously is, naturally goes the other way. Doesn't have to look that way and give the inside part of the plate up. Those two hitters can adjust with the pitch as it breaks away.
G's done a good job against Adam LaRoche tonight. Struck him out twice, looking in the 1st, swinging in the 4th. And he throws the changeup low and inside for ball 1.
Can't play that extreme shift, though, now with Zimmerman on second base.
Be curious to see his approach to LaRoche, the red hot LaRoche. Got called out in a bad pitch the first at bat, but struck him out with a hard slider in the second.
Fastball at the knees.
Strike.
1-1. 94 pitches deep for G, and so the Mets get the bullpen cranking here in the 6th inning.
Good eye. See, he's seen that pitch once, was struck out by that pitch, same pitch, Ronnie.
Yep.
You just file that back. Future reference. I'm sure it's got a tight little circle as it comes out of his hand. The seam's making a tight circle. Identify that.
Jason Worth, you saw on deck. Little dribbler, and it's foul. Nicky has tried to get it in fair territory, but Brian Gorman right on top of the plate to make the call.
Another good changeup. It's the one thing that he's been pretty predictable when he gets behind. He'll go to that changeup, but it's been down.
He's been keeping it down, Ron, and not throwing it for a strike. It's called a good bait sinker. Starts out in the strike zone and sinks late out of the strike zone.
Now the 2-2, and he struck him out with a changeup. 3rd time Dylan G has struck out Adam LaRoche tonight. That's 6 strikeouts for G. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. They had a little snowfall in that 8th inning during that Tigers rally.
Did Cabrera and Fielder ever make an out?
It's like they're off to a great start.
Well, plus they're getting great pitching. Porcello gave him 7 strong innings today.
He's going to have a big year.
Other than getting Fister hurt in his first start, their pitchers have all done well. Here's Jason Worth.
Well, just got to believe you just stay away from Worth right now the way he's swinging.
Hey, Keith, I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about seeing that cutter slider that G throws. And sometimes we're splitting hairs talking about cutters and sliders. Do those pitches look the same in terms of the dot, the spin?
Well, it depends. I'll wait for this pitch. I do feel the guys that had the really good cutter, and they're very rare, thank goodness, they didn't tip off. But 9 times out of 10, there's a little tiny circle. There's Bobby Parnell up in the bullpen right there. And that circle right out of a hand, and you identify that your brain, okay, slider. If you didn't have those red seams in the ball, then you wouldn't know it was coming. If the ball was all white, you'd be in a world of trouble.
Can't throw a cue ball.
If a guy tries to turn it with his wrist, you'll see the dot. If the guy tries to just use finger pressure, you won't. Those are the guys that it's hard to hit that cutter.
Hit to the right side, and that's going to find the hole. Zimmerman to third. He's being waved around as Duda charges. Zimmerman comes in to score. It's an RBI single for Jason Worth and a bleeder through the right side, and it's 2-0 Washington.
Well, that's a seeing eye dog here. Good pitch away off the end of the bat. There's the cutter. You can see the backside right there. A little bit of a circle. End of the bat, just right in the right spot.
Sometimes the shift giveth, and sometimes it taketh away.
Sometimes you make a good pitch, and the hitters are getting a paycheck too.
So Worth gets the hit. Bad news for Dylan G, and I have more bad news in my hand. The Mets have just released a statement regarding David Wright. David suffered a small fracture in the middle joint of his right pinky, a non-operative injury. The finger will be splinted and reevaluated tomorrow. David can return to baseball activity as tolerated.
Boy.
So what looked like it might be a one-day issue is going to be more than that, but how much more, we don't know. What we do know is he does have a fracture in that right pinky.
It's one guy per series now.
Well, Turner's going to see some more playing time.
Turner or Cedeno?
It's going to be Turner.
Right pinky fracture in the middle joint. Keith, you can probably speak to this. How much of an impact does that kind of an injury have on a right-hand throwing, right-hand batting player?
Well, we were talking earlier about it, and if he's a right-hand hitter, obviously it's his top hand. But still, your pinky is abutting the bottom hand, your left hand, and there's going to be some movement there. I mean, it's going to have to heal.
Well, the other part of it, if it's splinted, is that you're going to have to find a way to throw the baseball in.
I mean, you don't throw the ball with your pinky on the ball, but it's got to impact.
It's definitely going to be a problem.
If it's splinted, he's not going to play.
Yeah,
he's not playing.
Right. Well, they're going to splint it for now, but the question is, how long will he be out, and how much does it have to heal for him to be able to play? Does it have to fully heal?
You know, it's interesting. You see Worth go back there? If you're not surprised, you go into the bag with the heel of your hand with the fingers up. If you're surprised what's happened to David, the fingers go into the bag. Watch his heel. See the heel of the hand goes in, or the hand's engulfing the bag. That's to protect against what happened to David.
0-2 to Nady, and he lines one to the left for a base hit. Third hit of the inning for the Nationals. Worth pulls in at second. So G up over 100 pitches and seemingly beginning to tire, and that's going to be all as Terry Collins pops out of the dugout, and Bobby Parnell will be coming into the game. So G will exit with the Mets down 2-0 in the sixth. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. Welcome to America's fastest, most consistent, most reliable internet. Welcome to Life on Fios. Parnell coming in. We'll be right back. 4 pitches and leaves trailing 2-0 and with a couple of runners on base. And he will give way to Bobby Parnell, who makes his second appearance of the season. Roger Bernardina up with 2 on and 1 out. Bernardina 1 for 2 on the night. And a call strike with a breaking ball, 0-1.
Well, there's the big difference, isn't it? Bobby Parnell comes into a ball game. That's his record from last season, and has the ability to throw that curveball for a strike.
And Bernardina fouls off the fastball. Let's check in with Kevin, whose report is brought to you by Delta. Keep climbing.
Well, Gary, on the heels of the David Wright news, which you just read, talking to David today, just to give you an idea of the pain level he was in. For a guy that never admits anything, clearly he was in a lot of pain. He said when he woke up, the finger just blew up. And what happened is he came here and did try to take a couple swings, just couldn't do it. That pinky, that right pinky. They tried to do a couple different things, put some padding on his finger on the bat. Double play chance. Murphy can't make the play, and the Nationals going to score again. Yes, Worth comes in. It's 3-0. And Gary, why don't you take it?
Well, a tailor-made double play ball, even with the speedy Bernardina coming out of the box, and Murphy just boots it, and it costs the Mets a run.
Nope, just right there in front. And it's tailor-made, and see, the glove is just not, he had his glove closed. You got to have that glove open, facing the ball.
Well, it's the second double play that the Mets have not turned tonight. Murph dropped a relay in the first inning, and now,
and his glove is, see how his glove is kind of angled towards the shortstop. It's got you got to open that glove face right to the ball. He'd use 2 hands.
So it's 3-0 Washington. Now Wilson Ramos, who's 1 for 2, still only 1 out, 2 aboard, and he takes a strike. And I would imagine, Keith, for an inexperienced second baseman, they're moving him closer to the bag. That's got to be a natural tendency. You're moving toward the bag, and so your glove is open to that side, and it's got to be a real temptation to do that.
Well, for Murph in any position in the infield, he's really hasn't had a position.
The instinct, Gary, should be that how hard the ball is hit. So there's no rushing involved at all. That ball was hit right on the screws. All you have to do is field it and a little toss, and it's an easy double play. Those are things that he's going to learn.
Right, but in his pre-pitch preparation, he's thinking Bernardina. He can really get down the line.
I totally agree.
Curveball from Parnell misses 1 and 2. So the Nats have 2 runs home here in the 6th inning. Worth with an RBI single. It's the second run coming in on the Murphy error. Chad Tracy out on deck to bat for Ross Detweiler, who is done after 5 innings. A brilliant shutout ball. 2-2 now to Ramos. So the Mets will see a lot of Nationals bullpen, as they did last night. Last night, the starter for the Nats, Edwin Jackson, went 5, but they got 2 2/3 out of Tom Gorzelani. Probably have to go to more arms to get through 4 innings tonight. In the air to right center field. Back goes Duda onto the warning track, and he can't get it. 1 hop against the wall. Hairston fishes it out. In to score comes Nady. Runners at second and third. It's a double for Wilson Ramos, and it's 4-0 Washington. So Wilson Ramos burns the Mets again.
Now, this is probably going to be ruled a double, but you can see Duda had trouble there. We got a little shy of the wall there. And you got to figure on the other side, Washington with Worth out there, I think Worth would have made that play.
Well, it's going to happen with this team from time to time. You've got less than Gold Glove players at second base and right field, and the ball has found both of them in this inning. Now Chad Tracy bats for Detweiler. The infield comes in, and the curveball from Parnell is outside. Is it just me, Ronnie, or is Parnell taking more off his curveball tonight?
Yeah, well, it's where he's using it. If he's using it to get it over on the first pitch, he's taking a lot off. We haven't seen him get to 2 strikes where he can really hammer one.
Now behind on Tracy, 2-0. And it's still a relatively new pitch for him.
I think, against the left-hander, it's nice to have that back door, but against the right-hander, he's going to have to really snap that pitch.
Now behind 2-0 on Tracy, with Desmond, a right-hand hitter, on deck, and he throws the fastball. 2-1.
Well, the one thing when you, Gary, and Ron, from a hitter's perspective, if you take that little off that curveball, you lose that bite. And as a hitter, that gives you that split second longer to gauge it and anticipate where it's going to break. It makes it easier to get it over the plate. Oh, there you go. That's a good fastball right there.
And also, when you take a little off, you usually slow your arm speed down, and that is Western Union, as Keith says, to the hitter.
So Parnell has worked his way back to 2-2 in a spot that calls out for a strikeout. And the veteran Chad Tracy takes it in there for a call, strike 3. So Parnell comes back from 2-0 to strike out Tracy for the second out of the inning.
Good pitch. Wow, that's right where you like to put it every time.
So 2 out of the inning. Now Ian Desmond, who led off the game with a home run, since then has popped up and walked 1 for 2. The Nationals now with 4 runs and 9 hits. The Mets no runs and 2 hits. Mets came from 3 runs down to win last night. And now they've got the National starter Ross Detweiler out of the game. Craig Stammen has been getting ready for about a half an hour now in the Washington bullpen. Desmond, the 8th man up in the inning. It's a harder curveball from Parnell.
I think part of it might be just the blustery, cold weather. It seems like he's having a hard time getting the feel. He didn't have a hard time getting the feel, Mr. Detweiler.
Gave up hits to the first 2 batters he faced tonight, and then nothing.
Good one. This is wicked.
Move like the one Henry Rodriguez threw last night.
That's right.
Now the 1-2 to Desmond, and the fastball low at 97. 2-2.
So really, Parnell could have come in and had 2 outs and now done the job.
Oh,
yeah,
got the ground ball from Bernardina. The inning should have been over.
Right.
And it would have been a 2-0 game. Instead, it's 4-0. 2 in scoring position. 2-2 to Desmond. And he fouls off the fastball to stay alive. Desmond, the 8th man up in the inning. Steve Lombardozzi is on deck. All the runs in this inning are charged to Dylan G.
Well, Nickius wanted a breaking ball there, and Bobby shook him off to go to the fastball in. Nickius didn't like the call, so that's why he called timeout and stood up. Let's start again.
You saw what Desmond did with the inside fastball his first time up. On the outside corner, strike 3 called. So Parnell comes back with back-to-back strikeouts, but defense costing the Mets a couple of runs in that 6th inning. The Nats put up a 3 spot as Murphy boots Bernardina's double play ball, and the Nats lead it 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. against Steven Strasburg. 12:30 the coverage right here tomorrow on SNY. The Nats go to their bullpen and bring in right-hander Craig Stammen.
Stammen is a guy that 2 seasons ago was a starter for this Washington national team. He was sent down to the minor leagues to become a reliever and has been much more effective as a reliever for this Nationals team.
Made just 7 appearances for Washington last year. Spent most of his season starting in the minor leagues. And Ruben Tejada takes up and in for ball 1. So the Mets were unable to do anything against Ross Detweiler. He goes 5 innings, allows no runs, 2 hits, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. Gets pulled after just 71 pitches because he just didn't throw enough in spring training to be ready to go much deeper. And so Davey Johnson has to go to his bullpen probably a lot earlier than he'd like, but now has a 4-0 lead to work with. Only one of the runs against the Mets in that 6th inning is unearned, but you can certainly make the argument that the poor defense cost them 2 runs in that inning. And Tejada lines one right to Zimmerman, who grabs it as he lands on his posterior. 1 out.
Well, hot corner. Oh, a little snow cone almost.
Interesting. He takes that big hop before to get in that ready position.
Right in the pocket. Almost popped out.
Trying to make sure he didn't catch it on the palm.
Is that Mercedes-Benz slow motion? That was wonderful.
Search Mercedes.com. Call strike to Ronnie Cedeno. Cedeno getting the start at third base with the injury to David Wright. And if you're just joining us, the x-ray on David's finger revealed a fracture in the middle joint of his right pinky. And he will be splinted and reevaluated tomorrow. And how long David will be out, we just don't know right now. So the Mets have Cedeno, who can play third. They have Justin Turner, who can play third. Toward the middle of the diamond and run down by Desmond, but he can't make the plane. The ball came up for him nicely, which helped him out, but he just couldn't hang on.
He gets there. Nice. It's on the exchange. Base hit.
So that's the first hit for the Mets since the first inning. Cedeno had the last hit, dribbling one through the hole into left, and now he's got his second of the game. 1 out and 1 on for Murphy, who's been up twice and struck out both times. In between the 2 hits by Cedeno, the Mets went 0 for 16.
Sinker ball pitcher here, and Stamen and Bernardina playing shading Murph and a little bit in the gap in the center field, the opposite field. And I agree.
Breaking ball bounced right to the bag, and Desmond with the easiest of double plays. 6-6-3 to end the inning. We go to the 7th at Citi Field with the Nats up 4-0.
I watched him a couple of times on TV. So pretty good guy. I mean, pretty good stuff, and it's gonna be a good one tomorrow.
And we are certainly looking forward to tomorrow's matchup between Santana and Strasburg.
It was interesting. Johan had another couple sentences to talk about Strasburg, saying that he was proud that he was able to come back from his injury. Fellow guys coming off injuries think alike.
Of course, Strasburg was able to make 5 starts late last season after recovering from Tommy John surgery, and then turned in 7 solid innings against the Cubs his first time out this year. A little different for Santana, who was a question mark until he took his opening day start, but passed every test this spring and got back to the mound. 5 scoreless innings, and now see what he can do for an encore. And it's been interesting that the Mets have tailored their schedule to make sure that Santana gets an extra day of rest virtually every start he'll make in the early part of the year. Will pop up into shallow left off the bat of Lombardozzi, and Bates squeezes it for the first out.
No, I think that's incredibly smart. I think that, they really want to make sure that, 2 days after he throws, this time it was 3 days before he would throw on the side. Just give him every ample opportunity to heal as well as he can in between these starts.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, who got the 3-run 6th inning started for the Nats with a double to left. 1 for 3 on the night. And Parnell throws a breaking ball for a strike. Dylan G's final line: 5 1/3 innings, 4 runs, 3 of them earned on 8 hits, walked 1, struck out 6. Hit a batter, gave up a home run. So he is on the hook in this game. The Mets tonight were hoping to match their best undefeated start ever, 5-0 in 1985. But they'll have to do some coming from behind to do that.
Oh, threw that one by him.
Right in his wheelhouse, too.
Oh, right down a lot of plate and just beat him.
Big leg kick.
Yes, sir. No. Oh my goodness.
Well, he got a strike 3 call on that pitch in the last inning. Not this time.
Missed the pitch.
Oh, sit down.
Now it's 2-2 to Zimmerman. And he bounces one down to first, to foul ball.
It's a very defensive swing right there from Zimmerman.
And broke his bat.
The fastball from Parnell has got his attention.
Why not?
That's a very defensive swing.
Zimmerman has done well against Parnell in the past, 4 for 9 with a home run. But this is the new and improved Bobby Parnell.
And it is a nice new model. He's looking good.
Fastball in. Let's see if he can get it in there, Keith.
Now a full count to Zimmerman with Adam LaRoche waiting on deck.
Well, this will be the complete transformation as you see LaRoche, as Gary mentioned. Do you see the 3-2 curveball here?
Fastball ripped and a foul ball.
That's an inside corner fastball right there, and with 2 strikes, he turned on that one. They want it away. He likes that ball down too. Oops.
Evasive maneuver for the ball boy.
Ball find you. No hiding.
He knows he averted disaster.
He almost swallowed his gum.
8th pitch of the at bat coming, and Zimmerman fouls that one back at 98. The hardest pitch Parnell's thrown tonight. And it's some serious Cholula hot sauce. 98 for Parnell. He is a flamethrower.
Oh, gosh.
Mo Cholula trying to put the iconic wooden cap on this at bat. And he misses ball 4. So the first walk given up by Parnell. 1 out and 1 on. Let's check out our drive around the majors presented by Kia Motors. Chipper Jones off the DL. Got to hit his first time up and then a 2-run homer his second time up. Welcome back, Chipper. Braves looking for their first win, leading the Astros 3-1 in the 4th. Derek Jeter led off the game with a home run. The Yankees have just tied up the O's 4-4 in the 6th. And Carlos Beltran hit his 3rd home run of the year. David Freese has homered as well. And the Cards lead the Reds 3-1 in the 8th.
No, Carlos off to a red-hot start with those Cardinals.
Well, Adam LaRoche thrilled to see Dylan G out of the game. Faced him 3 times, struck out all 3, trying to avoid the golden sombrero as he takes on Parnell in the 7th. 1 out and 1 on, and Parnell misses low and inside. By the way, not pictured on our drive around the majors, Andre Ethier. Home run bottom of the 8th, leading the Dodgers over the Pirates 2-1. Long drive out to left field, and this one will sail to the wall off the bat of Adam LaRoche. Zimmerman to 3rd. He'll be held up there. Ball gets loose momentarily, but Tejada recovers in time. And Zimmerman has to hold at 3rd. So LaRoche, who was held in check by G all night, strokes a double the other way against Parnell.
Fastball outside corner. He's on it. And he changed his approach. He was trying to pull G, and then took that fastball the other way.
So the Nats already up 4-0 and now poised for more here in the 7th with Jason Worth coming up. Worth having a good night, 2 for 3, a single and a double, and he's driven in a run. So the Nats with a chance to break this game open with a base hit. Miguel Batista, who pitched last night, getting ready quickly in the Mets bullpen. Mets will bring the infield in. Now you can walk Worth here and go after Nady with first base open, try and get a double play.
I'd go after Worth.
And breaking ball misses outside for ball 1. Worth 2 hits and 9 career at bats against Parnell.
These are the kind of at bats that you like. You break the game wide open with a base hit. Right by him.
Another double figure in hits for the Nationals this evening.
They had 10 hits last night, 10 more hits tonight. Now Parnell's 1-1, and a nice block by Nickius. 2 balls and a strike. Zimmerman at 3rd and LaRoche at 2nd with 1 out. Washington got a run in the 1st on the Desmond home run. 3 in the 6th, helped out by some uneven Mets defense. And now a chance for more here in the 7th.
Surprised that Batista is up.
Now it's 3-1. Surprised why?
I should explain myself. Santana pitching tomorrow. There's a threat of bad weather. You're trying to protect your best pitcher. And what happens if there's one of those rain delays for a long period of time? Sometimes you'll bump your starter and go to the second guy.
Or if the game starts and then you have a rain delay,
yeah.
If Johan has to sit for any period of time, you're going to take him out.
Well, I would think tomorrow, if anybody's going to be middle relief, if Batista does in fact come in, it's going to be Acosta is going to be the guy that's going to chew up middle innings.
Yep. I will say this: the weather forecast is not bad as far as rain is concerned, and if it comes, it's supposed to come later in the day.
Okay.
Here's the 3-2 and a drive to center field. That's in for a base hit. Zimmerman comes in to score. LaRoche will stop at 3rd. An RBI single for Jason Worth, his 3rd hit and 2nd RBI of the night. And the Nats stretch their lead to 5-0. So the Nationals getting a couple of really good swings against Parnell here in the 7th. Dan Warthen will take a trip to the mound. Parnell, in his second outing of the year, has given up 3 hits in an inning of relief. The Nats now up 5-0 and poised for more.
Amazing, isn't Jason Worth looked almost kind of lost earlier in the game, and now driven in 2, scored 1, 3 hits.
Well, here's the base hit. Let's see what he features here. Fastball right down the middle. And that's going right up the middle too on that one.
So now Nady, who's 1 for 3, single to left, scored a run. Last man Dylan G faced in the 6th inning after G struck him out his first 2 trips. LaRoche now at 3rd and Worth at 1st with 1 out. Took Nady 3 at bats to get a measure of revenge. I had forgotten the fact that last year when Nady played for Arizona, G hit him in the hand with a pitch in August and ended his season.
That's right. Boy, just hampered by injuries the last 3 or 4 seasons for the X-Man.
Well, he had the multiple Tommy John surgeries. Continuing problems with that elbow after his year with the Yankees. 2-strike count to Nady with Roger Bernardino to follow.
And for everyone that's ever played with him, couldn't get a better teammate and a talented guy. Just the injuries have paid their toll.
Well, even his 4 months with the Mets, he had the appendicitis.
That's right. That's right. You know a little bit about that.
Same year.
Trying to have to cart you out of here.
We had the matching scars, me and X. Here's the 0-2 and the breaking ball foul back. Get that one up. How about Chipper, though?
That's amazing.
Believe that? Gets his swan song season off in style tonight.
Someone they didn't need him either.
Oh, wow. What a lift, huh? If they win this ball game, it's 4-1 now in the 4th.
By the way, the farewell tour has begun. Last night in Houston, they showered him with gifts. It's the Braves' only trip to Houston this year. Parnell comes back to strike out Nady for the 2nd out of the inning. That's 3 strikeouts for Bobby.
Chipper has a ranch outside of Houston, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah, I know he has a ranch outside. It's either Houston or Dallas. I have no idea.
He might have
Texas.
He might have more than one ranch.
I know they're a long way away from each other.
He's he's done well. He could have ranches in every state.
Right.
Here's Bernardino, 1 for 3 on the night. He hit the double play ball to Murphy that really opened the door for the Nats in the 6th inning. Murphy booted it. A run came home. The Nats added another run in the inning, and now they've tacked one more on here in the 7th. So what should have been a 2-0 game has turned into a 5-0 game. Bernardino getting the time in center field, but how long that lasts is certainly up for debate. They're expecting Rick Ankiel back by the weekend, coming back from a quad injury. And Ankiel probably will inherit that center field job. And then sometime in the next month or 2, 19-year-old Bryce Harper will be called up, and either he or Jason Worth will then take over center field. I'm not sure they've figured out yet how they're going to align the 2 of them, but one way or another, Harper and Worth will play center and right.
I think it depends on the 2 months that Harper spends down in the minor leagues. How does he handle playing center field? Mets have Valdespin playing a little center field, don't they?
Well, right now he's the next option, it would appear. And Andres Torres, we have no idea how long he's going to be out. Kirk Neuenhuis has had a nice beginning to his big league career, but you have to keep yourself covered there. Mets have already had couple of injuries creep up in these first 5 games of the year. Torres goes down on opening day, and now David Wright out for at least a few days with a fractured finger. Now the 2-2 to Bernardina, and he just missed outside. 3-2.
Well, most players go to Arizona after the season, or Florida, or wherever. Bernardina goes to Den Haag, Netherlands. It's pretty cool, right?
A little jet lag.
Well, he stays for a while.
Does David have a ranch?
No, he's not a ranch
because we just looked up Chipper's ranch, 9,000 acres.
Oh,
9,000. Parnell strikes out Bernardina. That's his 4th strikeout. But the Nats tack on a run. 7th inning stretch, 5-0 Washington. A good look at Dylan G's changeup grip, isn't it?
Nice. Turner at first for the first time.
Dylan had a good changeup tonight. Bobby Parnell threw 51 pitches in an inning and 2/3, got 4 strikeouts along the way, but the Mets have now fallen in a 5-0 hole as they come to bat in the bottom of the 7th. Jason Bay leads off. He's fouled out to third and taking a call 3rd strike. The Mets have had only 3 hits tonight. A double by Tejada, 2 singles by Ronnie Cedeno. Nobody 3 through 9 on the lineup has scratched. Bay hitting cleanup tonight. Lucas Duda on deck, and then Justin Turner. Met fans making some noise trying to get the team revved up. 2-0. Well, there is the splint on David Wright's right pinky, suffering a small fracture in the middle joint. And he'll be reevaluated tomorrow. Bay drives one to left, and it's over the head of Nady and up against the wall on a hop. Jason Bay to second base, his first extra base hit of the season.
Sometimes they're at bats in games that no one watches, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, you're down 5 runs, and you get in a bat like this. One of the first swings from Bay all season long in these first 5 games, with some power in it, ability to really hit that ball to the left fielder's head.
How many times in the first 5 games has Jason been ahead in the count like that?
Yeah, that's been the big thing. He hasn't been able to unload. He's been behind seemingly 0-2 and 1-2 every time up.
So the Mets have their 4th hit of the game. Bay at second with nobody out. Now the Mets try and stomp their way back with Duda coming up. Lucas is struck out and grounded out to second, 0 for 2. And Stammen gets it over. Ike Davis getting ready for a potential pinch hitting assignment. Batting gloves are the first step. When he gets a helmet, we'll know it's for real. And the curveball from Stammen drops in for a strike, 0-2.
Well, you talked about it with Detweiler before. Mets have seemed to be behind 0-2 and 1-2 this entire game. So he's totally getting ready also.
That's with a lot of left-handed bats in the dugout. And Duda cranks one out to right field. Back goes Worth. And he's got room at the edge of the track to reel it in. Oh, might have hit Duda if he didn't hit it. And he hits it almost to the warning track. Babe moves over to third, 1 out.
I tell you what, that's how quick he is with his hands. This ball is up and inside. Look at him just get that bat barrel through. If he missed with that pitch a couple inches more over the plate, that ball would have been a bomb.
Can't believe how far he hit that ball.
He fought that off to 360.
So the Mets have a runner at third with 1 out. Justin Turner the batter. Kirk Neuenhuis has come out on deck to bat for Scott Hairston. And Turner swings and misses, nothing in 1. Turner 0 for 2 in his first start of the year. He's grounded to second and struck out. Last year, Turner was outstanding with runners in scoring position. He had 350 in RBI situations. There's Neuenhuis on deck to pinch hit for Hairston. Infield back, of course, for the Nats. They're happy to concede a run to get an out, with Bay at third and 1 out. And Turner now in a 2-strike hole. And so the 0-2 parade continues. It's not a new version you want. Mets 0-2.
It's been the opposite of what you've had. Yeah, you're right. It's the opposite of what you've had, though, the first 4 games, isn't it? Mets have been hitting in the 2-1, 3-1 counts.
And Turner just got a piece of that breaking ball off his leg to stay alive. Bay at third and 1 out as the Mets try and get on the board here in the 7th. Stammen ahead 0-2. And Turner just got out of the way.
That ball will find Turner, won't it?
It's a good pitch. 0-2.
He's a magnet. 24 batters for the Mets tonight. 11 of the 24 have been 0-2. First it was Detweiler for 5 scoreless innings, and now Stammen picking up where he left off. And Turner hits the curveball into left center for a base hit, and the Mets have their first run of the night. Bay trots in to score. Justin Turner comes through with an RBI single, and it's now 5-1 Washington. Last year he seemed to do that all the time.
Hanging breaking ball. Nicely done. He stayed in. After the up and in pitch, did not flinch.
Kirk Neuenhuis is announced into the game with the right-hander on the mound. Steve McCowney will head out to the mound. He does not make the pitching changes, and anyway, there wasn't anybody throwing in the Nats bullpen.
Well, that's why he's going out, is to delay so they can get some arms up as he goes out to talk to Stammen.
They'll get the left-hander Sean Burnett up, along with the outstanding setup man Tyler Clippard. Clippard would probably be in the game in the 8th inning anyway. Davey Johnson wanting options to bring him in here in the 7th, and that's one of the luxuries he has with Clippard, a guy who is one of the best 8th inning pitchers in baseball, but can also give you 2 innings at a time. So now Neuenhuis, who last night hit his first major league home run into the Mo zone in right field. 3 hits and 8 at bats to start his career. Josh Tolley out on deck to bat for Mike Nickius. Kirk's parents were here last night. They had made the trip in from California, and his first inclination was to give the home run ball to his dad. Then he remembered it was his mom's birthday, and he reconsidered. Taking a high
smart kid.
Yeah. Parents had to leave today, so they have caught the beginning and a spectacular beginning to Kirk's career. And now Stammen falls behind him 2-0. Last night was the first time in their 4-0 start that the Mets had to come from behind to win. They were down 3-0 in that game and rallied to win 4-3. Now trying to come from 5 runs down in the late innings tonight. Already a run home. 2-0 to Neuenhuis and a fastball strike.
Well, Kirk, you're probably going to get that same pitch, wouldn't you, Keith? 5-1 lead.
Well, he's going to go to count. He's going to go to Old Faithful. That's his sinker. And you see right there, they want it away. Oh, boy.
So now Stammen behind 3-1. They led off the inning with a double, came home on the base hit by Turner. And now Neuenhuis trying to get aboard with Tolley on deck to pinch hit for Nickius. And I would imagine if Neuenhuis gets on, we'll probably see Burnett come in to face Tolley, with Ike Davis probably lying in wait behind him. Here's the 3-1, and that's a strike. So a full count to Neuenhuis. Ike hasn't let that bat go yet.
Well, that's his first knock.
Turner the runner at first with 1 out. 3-2 count, not running. And Neuenhuis takes ball 4. And the Mets keep the line moving. First and second and 1 out. Tolley announced into the game. We'll see if Davey Johnson makes the move to the left-hander.
Yeah, here he comes.
So Stammen will exit, and Sean Burnett will come in to face Tolley, who is off to a hot start this season. Mets down by 4. They've got 2 men on in the 7th as they try and fight back. We'll be back in just a moment. Walton of the Bronx, New York. Contact Gil's office at gilwalton.net. By the American Red Cross, the Mets and the American Red Cross are teaming up to help save lives. Donate at Citi Field on April 14th from 9 to 5. All donors will receive 2 free tickets to the April 23rd Mets game. And by Citi, visit Mets.com/Citi Chalk Talk to learn about a special 1-hour Chalk Talk with Sandy Alderson and Ron Darling on Cinco de Mayo.
Cauley's in Brazil. We can't use him when he's out of the country.
Veteran left-hander Sean Burnett brought in by Davey Johnson.
69 games last year. As you see those stats, he had a fine season.
See those numbers against lefties. 200 batting average against. Josh Thole 0 for 3 in his career against Burnett, and the crossfire delivery in for a strike. And you can see from that arm angle why he is so tough for the left-hand hitters.
Well, there's the book. Fastball, slider. You can't have much more. Throws across his body like Gorzolani and like Detwiler.
Ike Davis has come out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. Thole rolls one down to first. LaRoche gets the out at second, but the wide throw keeps Desmond from even thinking about making a relay.
You got to turn the 2 there. And what happens here, watch, he throws it sidearm instead of over the top. When you throw it sidearm, it'll sink and runs off the other side of the base. You got to come over the top like you're throwing a QB, throwing a little look in over the middle.
Nice.
Now the Mets do not have a right-handed pinch hitter available. David Wright was the only right-handed bat on the bench, but clearly not available with the fractured finger. And so Ike Davis, who was getting the night off tonight, will be the pinch hitter against the left-hander. Ike's still looking for his first hit of the season, having gone 0 for 15 to this point.
Well, this would be a great time to break out in a big way, though, wouldn't it?
One swing and they're back in it, and they should be in the dugout.
Davis 2 hits and 5 career at bats against Sean Burnett. And he's bailing out as he takes a strike. Mets have a run home here in the 7th. Justin Turner, who had the RBI, is now at third, and Thole at first with 2 out. Ike has not done a whole lot of pinch hitting.
He's a little bit messed up right now, out in front.
Boy, when you are struggling too, you'll get these at bats, won't you, Keith, against these kind of funky left-handers?
Everything speeds up. Another guy wearing his hat off to the side, cockeyed. Jeez. God.
Maybe he's right and you're wrong.
But he's a left-hander. We'll get away with it.
Here's the 0-2. And Davis down on 3 breaking balls. Ramos makes the toss. Ike is struck out. Burnett comes in, gets the job done, and the Mets get just the 1 run. Let's get the whole story. Join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for a complete breakdown of tonight's game with exclusive post-game interviews and live coverage of Terry Collins' post-game comments. It's WB Mason post-game live today, right after the game, only on SNY. Josh Tolley, who pinch hit, stays in to catch. Kirk Neuenhuis, who pinch hit, stays in center field. And for the second straight day, 41-year-old Miguel Batista will come on in relief.
His long and storied career has over 500 games, has over 100 wins, has over 40 saves. He's done it all.
And you didn't even mention his literary talents.
He's a Renaissance man. Have two of them.
It is amazing, isn't it, that you would have two accomplished authors and all-around Renaissance individuals like Batista and Dickey on the same pitching staff. Wilson Ramos has had his typical night against the Mets. 2 for 3, a single and a double, an RBI, and he takes a strike. He came into the night hitting .481 for his career against the Mets, and that's gone up. Wilson Ramos, you're just happy to be playing baseball after what he went through last winter. Kidnapped in his native Venezuela, held for more than 48 hours before finally being released.
No one in the game appreciates to have a uniform on more than Wilson, I'm sure. Crowd is quite boisterous tonight.
Well, it's chilly.
Okay.
And on nights like these in April, you tend to get the most diehard fans.
Yeah, you're right. Ardent fans.
There's a call strike, 2-2.
You were an April guy in your day, weren't you, Gary?
Well, you know me, I love the cold. No, I'm only kidding. That's how I would have dressed for this game tonight, were I sitting in the stands, because if I didn't have a heater at my feet. In the dirt to Ramos and a full count. Danny Espinosa has come out on deck to pinch hit for the Nationals. Espinosa took an elbow right to the temple last night on that weird play in the 9th inning when he was covering first base, and Tejada came by. That's too low, ball 4, and Ramos on base for the 3rd time tonight. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin has a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. How many of those he hit against the Mets? 350 of those 445?
Weiland's one of those young pitchers that Houston got from the Red Sox.
It's going to be a long year for the Astros. I know they've gotten off to a pretty good start, 3-1, but they are very much the rebuilding franchise this year. New ownership, new general manager, and they seem to have the right attitude about breaking it down and starting from absolute scratch. Espinosa 1 for 4 last night, and he drives one to left, but right at Bay, who doesn't have to move an inch to pick it off for the first out.
That ball was a seed.
But to hang with him.
Well, at least it means his head's feeling okay.
Yeah.
Externally.
Yeah.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Ian Desmond, who delivered the keynote tonight with a leadoff home run against Dylan G in the first inning, and the Nats have led ever since. Desmond 1 for 3 and a walk. G went 5 1/3, allowed 4 runs, 3 of them earned on 8 hits. Bobby Parnell an inning and 2/3, 1 run, 3 hits. He struck out 4. Tyler Clippard getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 8th.
Every time I see Tyler Clippard, I can only think about that second game of a doubleheader that he had to pitch in a Yankee uniform in the day and went 6 strong innings.
toward the hole. Tejada can't quite secure the back end. And it's a base hit for Desmond. His second of the night.
Just out of the reach.
So the Nats have their 12th hit of the night. 2 aboard for Steve Lombardozzi, who's 1 for 3. He's also been hit by a pitch. So tomorrow, Santana and Strasburg, and I don't want to incite you, but how far do you figure either one of those will be allowed to go tomorrow, pitch and count wise? Santana threw 84 his first time out. Strasburg, I think, also was right in that 84-85 range in his 7 innings against the Cubs.
Well, Terry Collins has publicly said that if all things being equal, not a lot of difficult innings for Johan, 95 could be a number he could get to. And I think the same with Strasburg.
If they're non-stressful innings,
if
they're cruising,
the base is loaded every inning.
They've got to work. I think they're not going to get them over 90.
So what you're saying is, if they have a Darvish-like first inning, they might not be around for long.
Throw 44 pitches in the first.
It was 40 plus.
40 plus, and he ended up getting into the 6th somehow, some way.
He got the win.
He was a William.
He also threw 110 pitches.
He also pitches for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, well, they score a little bit.
Yes, they do. There's a strike 3-1 to Lombardozzi with Zimmerman on deck. He's quite the phenom. I did not realize how popular he was in Japan. Yeah. They say that he might have been the most popular player ever in Japan, and that takes in a lot of territory. You know, you're going through as there's ball 4 to Lombardozzi and the bases are loaded. You know, you're going through your Ichiros and your Hideki Matsuis and guys who were enormously popular and drew so much Japanese media when they came over here. Darvish apparently is on an entirely different level from that.
Well, I think part of it is, he's half Japanese, half Iranian. That's something in itself, but I think most of it has to do with he has the body type, tall, long, lean, to really be a dominant pitcher in this game. And a lot of the pitchers that come over, Nomo was dominant at times, had amazing years. Matsuzaka for the Red Sox, of course, had a couple of great years. But this is someone that people see could be a perennial 15-game winner for some years to come.
Well, this is one thing that, to change the subject, Terry Collins did not want. He did not want to have to get Acosta up for the day game tomorrow. Wanted Batista to maybe clean up this game, finish it out. But he is a little alarming, Ronnie. It's 2 starts in a row, 2 appearances in a row, and he's walked 2 last night. He's a veteran pitcher. He's walked 2 tonight.
Ramos, Desmond, and Lombardozzi the base runners. Zimmerman a double in 3 trips. He's also drawn a walk. And he chased that one away. And Batista had 0-2.
Well, Keith, like any older pitcher, time is only going to rob you of some of the innate gifts that you had as an earlier player. So sometimes you're trying to be too perfect, and that gets you behind hitters.
Now he's ahead on Zimmerman, 0-2. In the air, shallow right, tagging at third, Ramos. Duda's got it. Ramos is going to try it. Here comes the throw. It's cut off by Turner, and Ramos scores. That ball appeared to be true coming home to the plate. But Turner in his first game at first base cut the ball off, and it's a sacrifice fly for Zimmerman to make it 6-1.
Well, the throw is spot on. Duda with a very good arm, and I think what's shown today is the Mets defense has been their nemesis here. You got Turner, who's really first start at first base, hasn't got the experience at first base. You've got Duda out in right field. Murph at second base. So it blew the double play. So it's kind of showing tonight in a big spotlight of some of the defensive deficiencies.
So now it's 6-1 Washington, and here's LaRoche with runners at first and third. LaRoche 1 for 4, struck out 3 times in a row against G, but then hit a double off the fence and left in the 7th. Desmond at third, Lombardozzi at first. Well, the Mets are playing a makeshift lineup today, and sometimes those lineups can spark you, but the defense certainly has been a concern.
The injuries are part of the game, and Wright's a key player. And Detweiler, the left-hander, Wright murders left-handers. It was missed in the lineup today.
Well, it's something that we talked about going all the way back to spring training, that the Mets' biggest issue going into the season was depth.
Yeah.
Depth in their rotation, depth in terms of everyday players. And today was a depth day. Hit out to center field where Nieuwenhuis moves over, and Kirk puts it away to end the inning, but the Nats tack on another run. 6-1 Washington as the Mets come up in the bottom of the 8th. Batting gloves and all, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers, Wave included. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Wave looks the same in slow-mo too.
Did we cover Ike's mouth on purpose? Was he saying something he shouldn't have?
I don't know.
Only kidding. Danny Espinosa stays in the game at second base, and Tyler Clippard will take over the pitching for the Nats.
Well, Clippard has just been unbelievable the last 2 seasons for this Washington National bullpen. The guy who won 11 games 2 seasons ago. You can see in a couple of games of work here now. He's a guy who can go 2 or 3 innings, save a game for you. He can do it all.
Ruben Tejada leads off for the Mets. Tejada had a double off the fence and left back in the first. Since then, he struck out and lined out. And he takes a knee-high strike from Clippard. Ross Detweiler, 5 scoreless innings. He was tremendous. but had to leave because of pitch count considerations. Craig Stammen went an inning and a third, allowed a run on 3 hits. Sean Burnett got 2 big outs in the 7th, and now Clippard for the 8th. Remember that the Nats are without their closer, Drew Storen. Storen has got elbow problems, and he's going down in the next couple of days to see James Andrews, the elbow specialist down in Birmingham. So the Nats will be holding their breath about that. But Ronnie, even without Storen, they've got a lot of depth in this bullpen.
They really do. I mean, you know, we saw it last night in Henry Rodriguez. He took the loss, but his talent is easily seen last night. Clippard has put together 2 amazing seasons. When Brad Lidge is healthy, we know what he can do. Burnett from the left side. Gorzolani, long man. They've really put together a nice bullpen.
Clippard behind on Tejada, 3-1. Well, Clippard, when he comes in with men on base, is almost automatic. That's just an unbelievable number. Only 4.4% of inherited runners allowed to score. And there's a strike 3 and 2. I guess that includes runners he allows to reach base as well.
Okay.
Tejada's worked the count to 3 and 2. And ball 4. So Clippard walks the first man to face him with a 5-run lead.
3-2 changeup.
Changeup with a 5-run lead. My goodness.
That's a fine.
It is a fine.
That's exactly what Steve McCatty's thinking.
Gosh almighty.
Well, here's Ronnie Cedeno, who has a couple of soft singles in this game. 2 for 3 in his first start of the year. Filling in at third base tonight for David Wright. That's trying to build something here in the bottom of the 8th with Murphy and Bay to follow. Up and in for ball 1. So going into this season, the world champion St. Louis Cardinals were looked at by a lot of people, and what they saw was no La Russa, no Duncan, no Pujols, and then no Chris Carpenter on opening day. Well, Kyle Lohse filled in for Carpenter opening day, won, and he just won again. 6 solid innings. Cardinals beat the Reds 3-1, and the Cards are now 5-1 to start the season.
Nice. And he had a no-hitter against the Marlins in his first start for what? 5 innings, 6 innings? Till Reyes broke it up.
Yeah, 6 innings, no hit ball. So, you know, we saw the Cardinals in spring training, and they looked like, if not a world championship team, certainly a contender. Cedeno drives one deep to right center, and that'll go to the wall. Tejada being waved around third. He'll come in to score. Ronnie Cedeno, in his first game starting for the Mets, has 3 hits. And now an RBI double to get the Mets a little closer at 6-2.
Fastball away. I think it's right down the middle. Yep. Nicely done.
So Clippard, whom the Mets have had trouble touching for anything over the last couple of years, gives up a run without recording it out. And now he'll have to take on Daniel Murphy with Cedeno at second.
Well, I'd have to say that he earned that run, because the leadoff 3-2 changeup to Tejada with a 5-run lead to walk him.
Mess around out there. It's a good chance to get hurt.
Murphy tonight's had a rough game. 2 strikeouts and a double play. 0 for 3 plus an error in the field. Trying to make something happen here in the 8th, and he takes a strike. Murphy's done well against Clippard in the past. 2 for 6, including a home run. Jason Bay, who had a double his last time up, waiting on deck. Mets now with 6 hits. The Nats with 12. And Murphy pops one up. LaRoche taking charge. And that's the first out of the inning. So Murphy having his rough night continue.
After being the hero last night.
Well, you know, Lou Gehrig took a couple offers in his day, too.
He did? I don't think he did. How about 2 at-bats in a row for Jason Bay?
Jason drove a double off the fence and left for his first extra base hit of the season and then scored the Mets' first run. 1 for 3 on the night. Cedeno at second and 1 out. Bay hitting cleanup tonight. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Lucas Duda waiting on deck. Nats have handled him so far in this series. Oh, 2 to Bay. Cedeno with a 3-hit game tonight had only 1 3-hit game all of last year in over 400 at bats. Now Clippard ahead 0-2 on Bay. Jason keeps the at bat alive. You're playing your song, Keith.
I was seeing 3 Mr. Mets up there in the scoreboard.
Hit the one in the middle.
Again, the 0-2 from Clippard, and Bay goes down swinging on the changeup. That's the second out of the inning.
Nope. It's almost like Clippard said, okay, enough's enough.
So 2 out. Cedeno still at second, and here's Lucas Duda. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this note. It kind of got lost in the Ozzie Guillen maelstrom today.
Yeah.
Did you see the injury of the early season so far that apparently befell Mark Burley before his first start last week?
No, I didn't.
Burley, who struggled in his first game with the Marlins, has now revealed that he cut his thumb on a mayonnaise jar about an hour before that start. He went to make his own sandwich.
An hour before it starts?
Yeah.
At home or at the ballpark?
No, at the ballpark. He was told, you know, we could get some, we can have somebody make the sandwich for you. And he said, no, I'll make my own. And he cut his thumb on a mayonnaise jar. I'm not sure exactly how you do that.
Exactly.
Without like breaking the mayonnaise jar. That like the Joe Beimel injury. Remember? He cut his hand on a glass, broken glass in a bar.
Different kind of jar, yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
All the edges are soft mayonnaise, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, I know it's glass on the top, but maybe it was chipped.
right. It's not like opening a sardine can. You can cut your finger on that.
How can you eat something an hour before you're going to pitch?
Well, he pitches fast. He could probably finish the game before he digests the sandwich.
He's like the Greg Picker of pitchers. He needs a little nosh every once in a while.
Well, I know we're all looking forward to having Mark Burley in the division.
That's right.
Cut thumb and all. Duda 0 for 7 in this series. And a tapper right back to Clippard. So Clippard gives up a quick run and then makes quick work of the next 3. Mets down 6-2 as we go to the 9th at Citi Field.
So much for that little brush fire.
New York sports. We'll hear from the Mets clubhouse tonight. Get you ready for tomorrow's big matchup between Johan Santana and Steven Strasburg. And the Rangers get set for the postseason. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame, only on SNY. Jason Worth has had a fine night tonight. 3 for 4, 2 singles, a double, 2 RBIs, 1 run scored. He'll lead off in the 9th inning against Miguel Batista, who works his 2nd inning. It'll be Worth, then Xavier Nady and Roger Bernardina for the Nats in the 9th. The Mets, unless they have a big rally in them in the bottom of the 9th, in danger of their first loss of the season. And Worth has got himself a 4-hit game. He only came into this series without a hit. Now he's got 5. Let's see what's coming up on WBASN Postgame Live. Check in with Chris and Bobby in the studio. All right, guys, we'll check in with you right after the game. Here's Xavier Nady, 1 for 4 on the night. 3 strikeouts, wrapped around a base hit in the 6th, and he scored a run. It's a slow ground ball. Tejada with the charge, flips, and Murphy with the high throw, and Nady will hold it first. That's 3 double play balls tonight, and the Mets have been unable to turn any of them. The only one they did was the comebacker to G for a 1-6-3.
Well, Murph gets out of the way nicely and would have had the 2, just overshot.
In the first inning, what should have been a 5-4-3 double play, Murph couldn't make the transfer. Then on a ball hit right at him in the 6th inning, he booted it for an error that cost a run, and now unable to make the accurate throw. Bernardina 1 for 4. So this is pretty much the nightmare scenario for having an inexperienced second baseman. Those 3 non-turn double plays have cost the Mets 4 outs and at least 2 runs tonight. It's not going to happen every night, but that's the worst case scenario. 1-1 to Bernardina. And to make it worse for Murph tonight, of course, he's also had a rough night at the plate. Two and 1 to Bernardina with Wilson Ramos on deck. Jason Worth with a 4-hit game tonight. Did not have a 4-hit game all of last year or the year before. His last one came in June of 2009. Two and 2 to Bernardina.
Swings at a lot of bad pitches, doesn't he, Ronnie?
And that's the thing.
Pitches with a wrinkle.
That's the thing that's kept him out of the lineup, because he's an amazing athlete. Solid center fielder, can go get it. But you got to be able to hit the wrinkle every once in a while.
And for you folks out there still tuned in, a wrinkle in baseball terminology is anything that's not straight.
Anything spinning.
Bernardina strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. It's 11 strikeouts for Met pitchers in this game.
I'll tell you how overrated strikeouts are.
Now 2 out for Wilson Ramos, who's 2 for 3 and a walk tonight.
Not overrated if you're a strikeout pitcher, but you know what I'm saying. You know, if you look and you say, boy, 11 punch outs, must have had a great game. Well, sometimes you don't.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And Ramos takes low and away. By the way, in that game in Houston tonight, not only did Chipper Jones homer, but Tyler Pasternicki hit his first big league home run. Braves are up 4-2 on the Astros in the 7th.
Well, you were mentioning before Mr. Malone for the Oakland A's. What did he do in those 8 innings?
Well, he did something that nobody had done in 6 years last night. He beat Kansas City 1-0. 8 innings, 3 hits, no strikeouts. First pitcher since 2006 to go 8 scoreless innings without a strikeout, and I was flabbergasted at who the previous guy was. In 2006, Justin Verlander, 8 scoreless innings with no strikeouts. What were the odds of that?
Yeah.
Now, you were mentioning a game that was pitched against the Mets in 2007 at Shea Stadium.
And I thought that the pitcher that night for the Minnesota Twins pitched a complete game shutout with no strikeouts, but I was wrong.
Turned out he had 1 strikeout, but he also hit a home run in that game. The pitcher for the Twins that night, Johan Santana. Here's the 2-1, and it's taken low, 3 balls and a strike. That game impressed the Mets so much that winter they went out and made the trade.
That's right. And part of that deal, correct me if I'm wrong, was Philip Umber, who has seemed to find his way now. I don't know how he pitched tonight, but he had a great spring training, great second half of last season.
Kevin Mulvey was in that deal, and he's now back in the Mets organization.
Okay.
Former first pick by the Mets, as was Umber.
And I see that he was supposed to pitch, but it was against Cleveland. It's bad weather.
He was in the 30s in rating. They called that game. Ramos rolls one out to shortstop. Tejada's got to go to first with it in time to retire the side. Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the 9th, trying to make up a 4-run deficit. He has a 3-hit game, but not a whole lot else going on for the Mets tonight. They've been limited to 6 hits by Ross Detweiler and 3 relievers, and now the former Philly Brad Lidge will try and close things out for the Nats.
Well, they say he has been throwing 90 plus. He's always had that great slider, the right-hander from Notre Dame, and 2008, of course, one of the best seasons any reliever's ever had. 41 for 41 during the regular season. 7 for 7 in the World Championship year for the Phillies.
Limited by injuries to just 19 innings last year, and signed a deal with the Nats for just $1 million, which, you know, for a closer, that's penny cash.
I'll take it.
By the way,
he got it.
As Justin Turner leads off the bottom of the 9th, have you noticed the last 24 hours or so? It's almost like the Mets opened the spigot with the Nice contract. Now everybody's signing up their younger players.
Yes.
You had the Reds lock up Brandon Phillips.
$72 million.
You had the Rangers give a long-term deal to Ian Kinsler.
Takes him through 2018 with an option.
And then the Indians signed their young catcher Carlos Santana long-term.
5 years, less money, around 25 million, 21, 22 million.
A little less service time than those other 2 guys. And that's really what it's all about. Kirk Neuenhuis on deck. Turner 1 for 3, drove in the first Met run with a base hit to left center. 1-2 to Justin. Turner getting his first experience at first base tonight, and it's been a work in progress.
Look, the right side of that infield for the Reds. Go get them.
They'll be there for a while. Votto and Phillips, two pretty good players.
Oh,
well, Lidge showing off the slider, strikes out Turner for the first out.
pretty good one. Vintage Lidge. Look at this. Bottom dropped out.
That's the thing about his slider. It's more, it goes straight down at times.
Yeah, it doesn't have any lateral movement.
1 out and nobody on. Here's Neuenhuis, who pinch hit for Hairston in the 7th and stayed in center field. Drew a walk against Craig Stammen.
What they say about some of these guys that have that great slider, Gary and Keith, is that they have such great arm speed that the ball is spinning so quickly that it doesn't even catch, the gravitational pull for like 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever it is, and then starts making its break. Only way I can equate it for you guys that are good bowlers out there, when you throw that ball in the bowling lane, you see the real good guys or good ladies throw it, and it goes down about 10 feet before then it starts to break. That's what this slider will do. Looks just like a fastball for about 20 feet.
And there's a fastball for a strike to Neuenhuis, 2-1. Josh Thole waits on deck. Line off Lidge, and it caroms right to Espinosa, who's able to make the play on Neuenhuis. So Lidge with the deflection, he appears to be fine. It's a 1-4-3 putout. Steve McKinney's going to come out with the trainer just to make sure, and Lidge says, go away.
Did it get his backside, I think? What a bullet by Neuenhuis.
Oh, off the fanny. Hey, it's a way to do it. He's laughing. He's okay. Let's go. Come on.
Only has one more out left to get, and he'll take on Josh Thole. Well, let's see. Going into the day, there were 4 unbeaten teams in Major League Baseball. Tampa Bay got beat this afternoon by Detroit, so Detroit's 4-0. Arizona is the other unbeaten team along with the Mets. The Diamondbacks are up 2-0 in San Diego in the first inning. The Mets 1 out away from their first defeat of the season. Josh Thole into a fielder's choice as a pinch hitter, and he takes ball 1. If Josh can keep it going, Mike Baxter has come out on deck to pinch hit. Baxter, the last available player on the Mets bench. David Wright is there as well, unavailable. And a strike to Thole, 1-1.
Well, I tell you what, another nice little at bat by Neuenhuis off a good pitcher. That was a bullet up the middle. I like to see it.
Hit up the middle, and Tole's got himself a base hit. So Josh keeps the proceedings going with a 2-out single. The Mets' 7th hit of the game. Boy, Josh has really swung the bat well early in the year. Sent out by Baxter, who got the 9th inning rally started last night with a leadoff walk and came around to score the winning run. Gets another 9th inning at bat, trying to keep this game going.
If you're a bench player right now, you want your at bats. He's very happy that someone got a base hit here, and he gets another plate appearance.
Did we find out whether Mike was charged a bill for the sod that he kicked up between third and home last night?
The place is divot, right?
Have to ask Bill Deacon, who is in charge of the field, whether they have to do any major handiwork.
Might get a different local rate.
Being the hometown kid.
Right.
Ball to strike to Baxter. Ruben Tejada would be next if Baxter can keep it going. Tejada's had another good night at the plate. On base 2 out of 4. It's been about the rate for Ruben. His on base percentage close to 500. Lidge with a nasty slider, and he's ahead on Baxter 1-2.
That is 1 out away from being the winning pitcher.
Ross Detweiler was superb tonight for 5 innings.
He was impressive.
One, 2, and that just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Baxter. Santana and Strasburg tomorrow afternoon. And Keith goes on vacation.
I do. I don't go on the road with you guys.
Now the 2-2, and Baxter stays alive. Now, will you at least be watching tomorrow for this outstanding pitching match?
I'm going to watch tomorrow.
Get your shopping done, your tomato plants planted, the back door cleaned.
I moved up my gym an hour. I had a 12 noon gym, but my trainer, I said I got to have an 11 so I can be back to watch the Open.
By the way, Ronnie, 5 games into the season and he gets vacation. I need that deal. Here's the 2-2 to Baxter. It's too high. And so Baxter with another quality turn at bat here, keeping himself in it. Now the 3-2, and Baxter pops it up foul, and that'll come back out of play, and he'll see another.
These are little at bats. Keith was just mentioning these are little bats you can put in the memory bank because, you know, Baxter being on that bench, the people you're going to face are guys like Brad Lidge.
And your bench needs bats. You know, sometimes you just don't get the opportunity to pinch hit. You can go days without pinch hitting.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat. Tolle runs. Baxter fouls back another one.
I was just thinking of that New Yorker who played for the Marlins and then the Philadelphia Phillies, Ross Glode. Baxter want to have a year like that off the bench.
That's his first real chance to get some extended big league time, and he knew coming into this season he'd have to prepare to be a bench player. Now the 3-2. And he struck him out on a pitch in the dirt. Ramos locates it, makes the toss just in time to get Baxter, and the ball game is over. So for the first time this season, it's the other team that shakes hands. The Mets suffer their first loss as the Nats win it 6-2 to even up the series at a game apiece.
Well, Dylan G gave up 4 runs but deserved better. Bobby Parnell victimized by his defense, but really it wasn't enough. Ross Detweiler for the Nationals, just spectacular over 5 innings.
Well, it's a game where the Mets fell behind early, and that 3-run 6 did them in, and that was a letdown on the defensive end there. Murph got a double play ball, and the Mets weren't going to win them all.
Well, they certainly hoped to, but they suffered their first loss to fall to 4-1 on the year. There's a City game summary. We'll be right back to Citi Field.